Warm greetings from the high 10. It's Everyday Shenanigans. This commentary is pertaining to the disappearance of Summer Wells. As most of you know, she has been missing. Coming up 13 months. 1 year. 1 year and 1 month. This week will mark exactly 1 year and 1 month. This commentary is by Court TV. After the commentary plays, I will drop the link and feel free to join the panel to give your opinion of the said information in the audio. And if this is a disappearance of a child out of nowhere, the middle of nowhere, or is this foul play? Is this an accident with a cover-up? Is this a deliberate, malicious murder of a child by a sibling and then a cover-up by an adult? Or is this a malicious murder, willful intent to get rid of a said child for whatever reason by an adult parent or parents and also grandmother? What happened to Summer Wells? Some have hope that she is still alive, but as I've told people, if she is alive, would you trust the parties that have her? You have to use common sense when you're talking about the disappearance of a child, the forwarding of a child to another adult. And 9 times out of 10, it possibly would be for nefarious reasons. There could be an assumption due to the fact that how the child lived with the said parents. They did not seem to have a cozy existence up there on the mountain. So why would I think logically they would give the child to someone for a better life? What type of human being would keep the child knowing that those same people reported her missing? So that would lead me to believe the child either died on purpose, a cover-up from an accident, or they sold the child for devious reasons. Thank you for joining me.
5-year-old Summer Wells lived with her family in a house on top of a hill in Rogersville, Tennessee. Summer was just 3 feet tall, 40 pounds, but behind those blue eyes was a little girl full of life. On June 15, 2021, Summer was reported missing by her family. They say they were home doing some gardening when Summer went inside with her siblings, but moments later, she was gone. The family looked in the house, looked in the surrounding woods, but could not find her. What happened to Summer? Once the community found out about this missing little girl, the searches grew in numbers, and thousands of acres in Hawkins County were covered by concerned neighbors, friends, and strangers. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation took charge of the case, but now, more than a year later, this little girl with the huge smile is still missing. Tonight, we take you up on that hill and inside the home of Summer Wells and try to understand how a little girl could just vanish.
Intermissions. Thank you for joining me.
I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. And we begin this evening with a story of a little girl. Blonde hair, blue eyes, big, big smile, just 5 years old, who went missing. And the question is, what happened here? What happened to this little girl? It's still a mystery. We still don't have that answer. And when you think about it, for those of you who are parents, even those of you who aren't parents can understand this. Like, you've got a child, and, you know, it's the most important thing in the world to you, and you do whatever you can to protect that child. But something happened to this child, and we don't know what happened. Now, we've covered cases in the past where people have come into homes in the middle of the night and abducted children. It really happens because we've seen it happen. We've covered those cases. But this seemingly happened in the middle of the day, maybe around 6:30 at night. Still light out. It's not darkness, someone's creeping around, but something happened in the middle of the day to this.
Interjection. In the middle of the day, out of nowhere, in the holler, rural America. How did a child go missing from the mount? We've seen pictures, video of the said location where allegedly Summer Wells went missing, allegedly from inside of a basement, allegedly from outside playing, allegedly walking away from the said address. Allegedly, but only a few know the truth of where she is and how she came to be where she is. Did someone walk up that rocky driveway and steal a child out of a basement, or took her from outside the property, or she was handed off to individuals, or she was murdered deliberately and discarded somewhere in the state of Tennessee or outside the state of Tennessee, or she was hurt by siblings on the property and then discarded by an adult parent, grandmother. What is the truth? Factor in the possibilities of the location. Animals scurrying about on that fateful day, allegedly. A person getting in or out without being detected by dogs and said children and mother and grandmother. The rustling of rocks beneath tires, making noise that a car has appeared in the driveway. What are the odds no one would go outside to see, hear, check? Nothing. The odds of someone knowing the child was in the basement. What are the odds? Thank you for joining me, Everyday Shenanigans.
But something happened in the middle of the day to this little girl. And it makes you wonder when you see the pictures and you think about what a 5-year-old child is like. They they're so curious, they're adventurous, and they're taking their bites at life, and every day is this amazing adventure. So you wonder, how could someone harm her? I mean, look at her. How could someone harm her? Why would someone do that? What type of person would do something like that? Those are all the questions that are surrounding what happened to Summer Wells. And as we sit here tonight, it's been way too long. It's more than a year. And we don't have an answer. And my fear is, because you know how many unsolved cases we cover here on Closing Arguments, I don't want this to become another one of those where, every year it's the anniversary, and we don't know where she is or what happened. And that's incredibly tragic. As I mentioned, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, in charge of this, looking at this, taking it very seriously. They know how high profile it is. And they know that Summer Wells was such a vulnerable young child that you want to solve that case. You want to solve every case, but when you've got a missing child, it takes it to another level. 1 year, people don't like using that word anniversary. All right, it's been more than a year now, June 15, 2021, that she's been missing. And the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation gave us an update on where they stand in their investigation into what happened to Summer Wells.
At approximately 6:30 p.m. on this day, 1 year ago, Summer Wells, who was 5 years old at the time, was reported missing from her home on Ben Hill Road in the Beach Creek community of Hawkins County. When we held the first media briefing on June 16th, honestly, we expected to have good news to report by the time the next media briefing came around. Unfortunately, instead, day after day ended in frustration and disappointment. At that time, no one expected that we would still be searching for Summer 1 year later. We've said from the beginning that this case is outside the norm. There are few clues as to what happened to Summer, despite investigators doing everything within their power to find answers. While investigators have been diligently working to find answers, they've had to deal with thousands of tips generated by false information that in some cases has been intentionally spread across social media platforms. We know that this case has attracted the attention of individuals across the country who genuinely care about Summer and want nothing more but to help us find answers. We appreciate those people. However, we are also aware that there are some people using this case for their own personal gain by spreading false information on social media posted as facts. Some go as far as to solicit donations. This has had a major impact on the investigation and not in a good way. Moving forward, we ask the public not to submit tips as a result of a video they viewed on YouTube or a theory they've seen posted on Facebook. Please help us and only call if you have direct, specific information about the disappearance of Summer.
Want to bring in a special guest joining us now tonight in Charleston, South Carolina,
Before we bring in this other platform, let's discuss that briefly. Did others help contribute to the mess of this case? Would it have mattered? Meddling outsiders, meddling platforms, people calling in tips from a video that they witnessed on YouTube. Did it make it worse? Because what you have to always remember is that when you call in information to law enforcement, someone has to answer the phone and take in that information and then forward it to an investigator. And then that investigator goes out to seek the said information that you relayed to another party, which related to him or her. That's time consuming. And most of you did not consider that when you called in your frivolous info. And if you were raised properly, you knew better. You knew better. You don't call law enforcement on gossip and innuendos. You call with information you have seen and verified yourself, because hearsay is not information. We know the streets talk, but in the end, imagine hundreds and thousands of people calling a tip line to say, let me tell you what Pookie Ray Ray Bubba said. Let me tell you what I saw on a YouTube video or something someone said on a Facebook page post. Just imagine that. Someone has to answer the phone and type in your gossip. You have wasted resources just from the very person who had to answer the phone and type in that mess. And then they forward it to someone. And then he or she decides if they want to go out and seek on your rumor. Hindrance indeed.
former homicide detective and host of the Interview Room with Chris McDonough. Chris McDonough with us. And Chris, I know you're one of the people that care about this case. You've done so much investigation and speaking to people. Can you believe that we're sitting here now more than a year later and still no answer?
No, Vinny, I can't. I think this is a chess game right now, and the authorities who are working this, to that last point by the PIO there from TBI, there's been so much misinformation that has misguided, direction in relationship to investigators' time. So I think, when I first heard that piece of the press conference, it just reiterated the power of these platforms and how they should be utilized in a very responsible way, so that the investigators can get on what they do and not have to waste time. So to answer your question, no, I can't believe we're still talking about this.
Well, let's do this because, as I mentioned, you've done incredible work on the interview room, and folks, check it out. In incredible detail, taking a look at this case and the area. I want to play a piece of an interview you did with Summer's mom, where she kind of walked you through that house and walked you through what happened that day. Let's watch that, and then we'll continue to speak as that sort of tour that she gave you continues. Let's watch.
Okay, watching TV, where's Summer?
Summer, she was with me.
Okay, so walk me through that.
All right, well, we walked up in here and we got Josie, Wine, and Whale on the board.
Right, you put the groceries down, right?
Yeah, well, we went back out and then we brought the first and put them down. And then Mom, she went to her stuff to her house to put her stuff away.
Okay,
And then, of course, me and Summer went back over, put our stuff away.
okay. You went back in.
Yeah, me and Summer went back in the house. And then we were just doing normal stuff.
Okay.
Around the house like we normally do. And I come out, Mom was sitting there, and I come out and I'm standing here. I was like, what are you doing? What are you staring at? She's like, these plants, I gotta get them transplanted. I was like, well, Summer will help us, so I went back in. By that time, she was sitting on the floor playing with the toys.
Right here?
No, in the kitchen where we were just at.
Okay.
She was actually sitting on the floor playing with the toys at the time. I said, Summer, you want to help plant flowers? And she jumped up, left her toys and us.
That's cool. Yeah, well, that's what kids do. It's their job.
What?
Okay.
We walked over here and we transplanted these cactuses from the little pots that they were in. We transplanted these ones here into this bigger pot and that one in that bigger pot. And she took the rocks that we've gotten from different gem mines when we went up to Gatlinburg and stuff.
Okay.
And she's the one that spread all the rocks around in here. And then she put her puppies in here and she wanted chasing them, you know.
Okay.
That was cool.
Where are those puppies now?
What do you?
Oh, the little puppies, the ruins.
Yeah, these little.
Oh, yeah, those little guys. Oh, that's Paw Patrol.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the police one.
Yep, that's Chase. He's always on the case.
Okay. Okay. Oh, I see another one over here.
She put it in there. Yep, you're on the cactus.
Okay. Don't take those out, okay?
No, I leave them right
I
there.
know.
Then we went in my mom's wood. We can't get in there.
Yeah, that's fine. Went in
We
there.
went in there and got some candy and stuff. She gets some grandma.
Okay.
And I said, well, I'm going to go back over to the house. She wanted to go back, so I said I'd go back, you know.
Okay.
And I brought her, I literally walked over to here. Like literally walked right to here where I could see the boys and on the kitchen table.
Got them.
And I watched her walk in there. And afterwards, when she was already in there, I walked over and I said, why? And he looked at me and I said, watch Sissy, I'll be right back. And that's when I walked back over to my mom's.
Okay.
And I was fixing her brace and stuff like that. And I said, well, Mom, I gotta go back over with the kids. And that's when I come back up into the house
Okay.
with the boys.
Okay.
Okay.
You walked into the house.
I walked into here. Yeah. I walked in here and then three were sitting right here in the room with their eyes glued to the TV. And I said, boys, where's your sister at? Well, she just went downstairs on the play. So I went over here like this. So this is where the stairs are.
Okay.
It's actually down under there.
Oh, down into her
Down in
bedroom.
our bedroom and then hers is on the other side.
Oh, okay, in the basement.
Yeah, in the basement.
Well, this makes sense now, see?
And then I yelled, I said, Summer, Summer. And she didn't, and I listened from there, I didn't hear nothing. So I went like this. Is this how I would get down here?
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to know or not.
I gotta be tiny to get in there?
No, you should
Can we come in from the other side?
Well, we can, but it makes more sense if you went this way.
Okay. Oh, man.
Chris, as we're watching your video here, this is the entrance to Summer's bedroom?
Yeah, this is the entrance video. It's underneath like a little shelf in the kitchen. And it's cut out from that shelf and a set of stairway goes down to the basement.
Wow. Okay, so You're coming down into the basement here with Summer's mom. What are you thinking as you're looking at all this and seeing this for the first time?
I was in shock, but the old homicide detective in me kicked in, where it's like, let's just stay focused on, what are the dynamics of this room? Where's mom and dad? Where does Summer sleep? What are Summer's interests? I'm trying to create a victimology in my head in relationship to the dynamics of, this child's environment.
Let's stop there for just a second. I want to try to intertwine so I don't hold up a lot of time on the live. Vinnie Politan is now viewing the child's home. And in his right mind, he's questioning, how in the hell are these people going to and fro downstairs through a kitchen to a bottom level to slumber? He must have been floored, as so many of us were when we saw this concoction of a house. In this interview of Candace talking to Chris, did Chris form an opinion in his mind if she was guilty or not after speaking to her? Because in the beginning, he spoke to H and his mother, her mother, other said parties at that table last summer. But once he went to this house, spoke to Candace Bly. After speaking to her, what was his opinion about the house, the home, her version of the crime? Did he believe that Candace was innocent? As you heard about the gossip, did they have any type of cohort suspects before the gossip started? What do they have now? The data, what data has come back, if any? How many phones, laptops were seized? What's on all devices, computers? Are there phones that were never introduced as evidence by Candace, grandmother, and Donna Wells? Who are the suspects? Does Ellie have suspects? If so, how many? Do they have co-conspirators? These are people who actually helped in aiding the death of a child if indeed she's dead, hiding the child, knowledge of anything that happened to the child. That's including siblings, the bio parents, the grandmother, and any outside participants, neighbors, friends, strangers. Are the parents cooperating? We got information a few months ago by Mr. Ronnie Lawson that they stopped. Is that the truth? Was he lying, or he was throwing bait out to get a response from Donna Wells and Candace Bly and Grandis? Will there be arrests soon? This interview that you are hearing, the infamous interview of Mr. Chris, Madonna, and Candace Bly, did he help by showing this house? Did he help by talking to Boy H and the mother and grandmother and other participants? Because as you heard from TBI, all this talking to people and rumors and rhetoric did not help their case. So this goes back to my original question. Did they have suspects lined up before the gossip started, before people were making videos on YouTube, before there were Facebook groups? Did law officials, TBI, FBI, have a suspect or suspects already in their data, Rolodex? And when people began to call with all their frivolous he said, she said to law enforcement, did this hinder? Because some of you disagree and say it helped, but it couldn't have helped because we don't have the child. So how did it help? And with Chris intervening, not being a investigator on the case or a working detective, did it help him talking to these said parties, the mother, father, all these people? Did it help, or did it make it worse? Because as I said, he is currently not an active detective and not a detective on the case. And from the beginning of this case, we've had no one from law enforcement working the case speak to the public directly about anything of relevance. We got a few months ago one lead investigator speaking publicly, but he didn't give us any information as far as what's been found, what's been seen, what they've gathered. All that is still held to the vest. And as I said, did Chris Madonna believe her version when he interviewed her, Candace, at that house? The searches at Beach Creek, why do they continue to search there? Is it because Law enforcement has knowledge that the child is discarded in the general area near the house. Do the parents regret speaking to Chris McDonough, Dr. Phil, and other YouTubers? Where is the mother, Candace Bly and Grandis? Are they in the state of Tennessee or out of town? Donald is currently still in jail. Will he be getting out next month, or will he have to do all of his time? And will there be a transference of his persons to the state of Utah to face criminal SA charges? Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to the channel, $ Big Angie 129 Cash App. All super chat stickers are welcome during this live.
Child's environment.
And as
It really felt.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Benny. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
It felt like a dungeon. It felt like a dungeon.
So you enter the basement underneath a cabinet in the kitchen, and you kind of crawl in there backwards. You get down there. How do you get out of there?
Well, there's a door. She's going to show us a door. It's you're gonna see her in a second, but you'll notice all the lights are off.
Right.
That's a wire hanging down. There's items over the windows as you come in. You can see, and there's that door right there. You could barely see it for a second. She's going to take us over there, but you see that window is covered.
U.S. residents, listen up. If you were born...
Sorry about that. Intermission. Thank you for joining me.
And now this is the door. There's a TV there that had some inappropriate material on it running while I was there. It was crazy. It was crazy.
So her story is that Summer went inside. Siblings are watching TV, so they're glued to the TV upstairs. So if Summer goes down to her bedroom, she would go down there by herself at that moment, right?
Yeah, that's the reported information. Yeah, at this point, correct.
Okay, so let's take a listen, because you did ask her about the door downstairs. Let's watch that.
Yeah, I come down and I searched. I looked up underneath the beds under there. We can't really get on. I can't get on that.
Yeah.
But I looked under there, looked under every blanket I could possibly look under.
Yep.
And then I come over here and I look on one side and see everywhere. And I don't recall if this was locked or not. I don't recall that.
Okay.
But I know it's part of it. But I know I did come out here and I said something. Because sometimes she'll sit right here and just sit here and play just for, And usually when she comes out and she goes directly that way up to the swing.
Oh, okay, so this is like her.
Yeah, she
come running out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can see the path here.
Right this way.
Right, you can see where she could have run right up to
and this
here.
is all the further she would go. She wouldn't leave.
Okay.
She wouldn't go nowhere else.
This is absolutely jaw-dropping, but eye-opening at the same time. I mean, I've heard bits of her accounts of that day, or their accounts of that day, but it makes a lot more sense to a certain extent walking through the home now. So she's 5 years old. If she wanted to open that door, I mean, that would be no problem for her.
Providing the deadbolt is not locked above it. And what's interesting, you'll notice that mom, when she'd gone outside and we were, talking, she was showing me some things. There are a couple of things in play here, Vinny. Number one is they had ingrained in all the children's heads not to leave the property. A. B is, and the reason for that is this idea of there's animals, there's bears, there's, strangers, all this other stuff. And in one of the press conferences, Dad even says that a neighbor had pulled up on the lawn and Summer ran up to the front door of their house. So the mindset of this child in relationship to the behavioral analysis aspect of it is this little girl is scared of a lot of different things going on. At 5 years old, I think that's natural for any of our children. And so if she was able to open that door, she would have to, deal with two lock mechanisms, not only the door handle, but a deadbolt. So, it's a mystery if she's able to, do that at the time. Okay. And so mom immediately, when she stepped out, turned around, she went back in, locked the door, and came back out the other side. So that looked like that was a habit for the parents as well.
And just give us, before we go to break here, some idea of neighbors. I mean, this house is kind of up on a hill, is my understanding. Are there any neighbors anywhere close by?
There are neighbors across that, from that shot there, straight across the canyon. There was kind of like a little canyon, and it goes up the hill. There's a neighbor across there, and then there's another to the right, which is going to be facing up this road here north. If you were to look north here, there's a neighbor property over there as well.
All right, Chris McDonough staying with us. We've got more into the disappearance of Summer Wells. Also, 9 o'clock, big hour here on the program, big day on Court TV. We had a defendant taking the stand. Was this man possessed by evil? You watch his testimony tonight, and you be the judge.
All right, brief break pertaining to the information. Let's chop that up for just a second. Chris McDonough says that Dawn said the child ran up to the house or in the house when someone pulled up. Well, is it possible because she didn't know the person in the car? If this is to be believed the truth. But see, when you are speaking of Donald Wells and Candace Bly as far as information, you can't believe anything that they have said because she's given different versions of what happened on June 15th, if you've paid attention to the storyline. So therefore, why would I believe anything that Donald Wells has said about the child? She ran in the house because she didn't know who the person was. So you want us to believe that she did this all the time when a stranger or anyone came. So see, you have to differentiate. She ran in the house because she didn't know the stranger, or she typically runs in the house when anybody pulls up. And how many people come to your house on a day-to-day basis? So you have to ask all the pertinent questions. That's why you can't leave things open-ended. She ran in when she saw a stranger come to the house. Well, is this the norm for her to run in the house when a stranger pulls up, or is this the norm for her to run in when anybody pulls up? And is it the truth that allegedly somebody came up in the drive and the child ran in the house? See, you don't know because Donald Wells and Candace have lied excessively during this story. Can't believe what they say. As far as the door being locked, Chris McDonough says, well, it seems like something Candace does. She goes out the door, comes back in, locks it. So now you have to ask your question. Was the door locked or unlocked on June 15th? Is the child able to open all the locks? 5 years old, I would say she would be able to, unless the lock or locks were hard to open or turn. But children have left out of houses many moons, which means they can turn a lock or just open the door if it wasn't unlocked and just walk out of the door. So was the door locked from the inside? Is there also a lock from the inside that you can only work by a key? Did the child open the door from inside on June 15th and made her way outside and soon after got herself gone, kidnapped, wandered off, or foul play? Thank you for joining me. I'll wait till he resumes his commentary pertaining to Summer Wells. Thank you all so much for joining me. Yes, inconsistent stories. And that's the point that needs to be made. Too many inconsistencies, which leads one to believe somebody's lying.
When I was on the phone with you yesterday briefly, you said he got the story out of order. Okay, but it sounded like he was kind of telling the truth there.
He was kind of telling the truth, but the way he was telling where we went and how we did it was all twisted up.
What's different that you want to clear up?
Well, because when we left from the emergency room, we went straight to the smoke shop, and that's when I got the cigarettes and stuff like that there. And then we stopped at the hippie house, and I got those cheap vapes because they're cheap there. And then we went and put my mom's prescription in, and then we went to Warriors, and then we come back to Walgreens, got mom's prescription, went to Sonic, then to Prices, then to his house.
Okay,
And that's exactly
That's the order. Okay. So he had it different in your, from what you remember.
Right.
Okay. So, right.
That's what I remember.
So let's stop there. So basically she's saying in the middle of the going and the coming was Warrior's Path, not the beginning. They went to his house first, then went to Warriors, then left there and went to these other said places. Because in order for grandma to have gone to Warriors, then that means, yeah, you all would have had to pick up grandma first at some point before going to the swimming hole. Stay woke now. And that's another question that's been asked. Is it true that the grandmother actually went to the swimming hole? Where's the verification that she was there? The only person that's going to know the truth is law enforcement and the data from grandmother's cell phone. Her phone puts her there at Warrior's Path at a certain time. So she says boy H basically told the truth, but got the order wrong of the visiting. Here, there, and there. So that means they picked up grandma at some point and took her to the swimming hole with them. Very interesting. But do I believe Candace? See, that's another question. And as she's telling Chris, I'm not assuming what happened. I know what happened because I was there. Yeah, okay.
Okay. That's Summer Wells' mom, speaking with Chris McDonough, talking about the day that her daughter went missing and where she was and what she was doing. There was someone else there with that day. It wasn't just Summer and her mom. Grandma was there. And then there was a young man, 15 years old, named Hunter, who was involved as well. I want to bring back in Chris McDonough, host of the Interview Room with Chris McDonough. It's on YouTube. Incredible depth and detail on this story. Please check it out. Chris, give us a little background on this 15-year-old. What's his connection to the family? And he was with Summer and mom and grandma that day?
Yeah, Vinny. So the connection is the mom and Hunter's mother are friends, and Hunter's grandmother are friends. So that's the connection. And on that day, she had called and asked if he wanted to hang out with them, essentially. And so approval was given. And it was more of a, hey, can you keep an eye on Summer? My mom's hurt. Candace's mother was injured and she had to go to the emergency room to get her knee checked. So it was kind of, portrayed that was the reason Hunter was coming along.
So Hunter was kind of like an extra hand. You've got a 5-year-old child. You got to take care of her. But grandma is hurting. She's got to go to the emergency room. We've got to pick up prescriptions. We're doing all this running around, almost like you would bring a nanny along, right? Someone who's a little bit older, who could keep an eye on Summer.
Right, and he describes his behavior as kind of like an older brother scenario.
Okay.
So that's how that unfolds there.
So there's a trip to, and I've heard about this, I've heard a lot about it, a trip to a swimming hole. We're going to play a little bit of what Hunter told you about what happened at the trip, but where is this swimming hole? And does everyone agree that there was a trip to a swimming hole the day that they were going to the hospital, going to Walgreens and going to other places?
Well, everybody says that, they went to this swimming hole. It's called Warrior's Path. It's a Tennessee state park. It's not far from the Walgreens, less than probably a mile. And so it would sequentially line up with going to that water hole to swim.
Okay, so let's play a little bit of your interview with Hunter. who talked to you. You're getting everyone to speak to you, by the way. It's amazing. Talking about what happened that day when they went to this swimming hole.
You see a point where Summer is underwater.
For like 10 to 15 seconds.
Okay, walk me through that.
And so I'll go in calm as heck because I know she might just be messing around.
Did you think she was injured?
No,
Could she have been?
she could have been. I mean,
Help me understand that.
she could have been when she got back into the car, like how the water gets through your lungs and everything else.
Okay.
And how she was in the hot car while they went to the stores and everything.
Okay, so let's go from the moment you see her, and what did you do?
I just throw my shirt down and just throw myself into that water to see if she was okay.
Okay, so you got scared.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, walk me through those emotions.
I was just like, I don't really get scared of nothing, to be honest. I just get a little bit like spooked.
Got it.
Spooked. Like, how do I put that? Like, spooked. Like, I get a little bit like shook for a second.
Right.
That's it.
Okay, she got nervous.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
And did you call her?
Yeah, I was like, Summer, but I don't know if you can hear underwater like that.
So can you see her underwater?
No, yeah, you can see her. I can see her. It's just that I was wanting to make sure that she was okay.
Got it, straight up. And what happened?
I just pull her up, bring her over my shoulders. I say, "Are you okay?" She goes, "Yeah."
Did she spit up water or
She
anything?
did spill water.
Was she laughing?
She was just laughing. Yeah.
Okay.
I was just saying because after the effect of that, because it was a short period of time before they dropped me off that she said that she was missing.
Before I let Chris intervene in the commentary, what does Boy H know? Does he know the truth about that day? We have Candace saying to Chris, he got the order wrong, but basically telling the truth. Well, he's a kid. Kids can mix up where they went because he's a boy for one, and guys don't articulate very well as women as far as being meticulous in the timing and the going of the here and the there. And sometimes people just forget the order when they're speaking because one, they weren't planning to have to talk about it. And two, just didn't give a damn. He's a kid. So what's the truth pertaining to what happened June 15th? Is everyone in alignment that everybody was at the park together? Chris says they were. Two, what did he see? Is he not telling the whole truth about what he saw with the child? Did he witness any type of abuse with the child? Some of you think he went home with Candace, but as I said, it's all rumor and rhetoric. You don't have one thing validating anything. The only people that can validate anything on that day, I'm going to be truthful, possibly will be somebody that actually saw them out together, all of the four, in a store, at the hospital, at the Walgreens, inside of a car, in a car outside of the grocery store, the smoke shop, at the swimming hole. You have to have someone to verify and actually believe him or her or they that, yes, I saw these 3, 4 together. I saw these 2 together at this time. I saw these 4 together at this time. And so far, you haven't had anybody to come forward to say, I saw them all 4 at this time. And you actually would have to have surveillance of all 4 together in a car, getting in, getting out. Law enforcement has not revealed that said information. Once again, what does Boy H know about this storyline of June 15th? Is he just a random person that rode along on that day? Or is he also an eyewitness to a crime, a cover-up? What is the truth? How is he doing now, Boy H? Thank you for joining me. This is Core TV. Vinny Politan interviewing Chris Madonna. Thank you for joining me. All verifications are via the YouTube queue and my community board. Thank you.
Okay, so does everyone acknowledge that something happened where Summer had to be pulled out of the water that day?
Well, that's what Hunter's saying. Mom is not 100% on board with that. She's saying that in a roundabout way that didn't happen. I think that one of the most interesting pieces of that, though, in his verbiage, was that she said, he said that, like she was swallowing water. that's kind of a spontaneous statement from a 15-year-old about a 5-year-old, right? And so I kind of thought in the back of my head, what exactly does that mean? And the doctors can figure that stuff out.
Okay, so you've got that situation. Now, when does he break away from the rest of the group? Because he's not at the house when Summer's mom says that she disappeared. So when was the last time he says he saw Summer, and did he make any observations about her at that moment?
Yeah, so he is taken home after a couple, they pick up the prescription, they go get a Slurpee from a local store, they pick up some groceries, and then it's at that point he is taken back to his house. That's his grandmother sitting there on the porch. They see Summer in the car. He relates, in his opinion, she's still alive, and that they had been, playing inside of the car on the drive home.
So that would be the point, right? If you're putting a timeline together here, Chris, that would be the point, that the last time anyone from outside of the immediate family sees Summer.
Correct. Hunter would have been the last one, and the folks on the porch there.
And how far is where they live from where Summer lives?
About 4.5, just under 5 miles.
Okay, and
Hold on. This cheese pool is some crazy.
Sorry about that intermission.
Cheese steaks on water.
Got to get their money.
Under 5 miles.
was he ever contacted? Like when she goes missing, I'm sure there's some level of panic by the family that our 5-year-old is missing, so we've got to search for her. Did they call him up to come help with the search?
No, but she did call while the authorities were there. Summer's mom called his mother, and on FaceTime was telling the boy's mom that the authorities were looking for Summer, but she was inside of the house, not participating. And they related to me, they felt that was kind of an odd detail. If your daughter's missing, why isn't she jumping in relationship to getting out there and wanting to help? So, I don't know exactly what that means. I'm sure the authorities will tell us at some point.
And how about Grandma, who was there that day? Has she ever spoken publicly? Have we heard her version of what happened that day?
Yeah, her version is almost a parroted version of Mom and Dad. So it's almost all three of them are in sequence with the story as a whole.
And was Summer's dad there at the moment that they say she disappeared?
That's still a mystery. There's about 3 hours of time. From 3 o'clock to 6:23 is when the time of call for the 911 came in. So there's that period of time that is still, a toss up in the air in relationship to, the sequence of events here.
Let's talk about that. Everyone's in agreement that they all went to the swimming hole in said places. He came. They dropped him off, boy age, to the house, and then the mother, grandmother, and child left. Is it possible that the child swallowed water or dirt particles inside of her, and it caused some type of malfunction? And between this window of 3 to 6:27, if we would even believe the 3 o'clock time frames, I don't know what to believe, because you can't believe anything out of a person's mouth that's changed their version. See, that's what people don't seem to understand about a person giving stuff here, there, and there. The version has changed from day one. From the news interview to what the TBI has said about the child being outside in the basement. So that means these versions are coming from Candace Bly and her husband. So why would I believe anything about anything? That's why you have to have other people to corroborate information. Because when you see a person is changing their version, why would I believe anything that you said about where you've been, what the children were doing? How do I know the children weren't asleep when she got home? See, you have to ask yourselves that. Because a liar will make up and say anything. Oh, their face were glued to the TV. Were their faces glued to the TV? Who's to say one or two weren't asleep, taking a nap, outside running and playing? You don't know because you weren't there. And this heifer is not going to tell you the truth about anything. Nobody's going to tell you the truth. And that's the sick part of this story. You don't know what happened once she got home. Candace Bly, the grandmother, and allegedly the child. You don't even know if the child ever made it home. Who's going to tell the truth? Oh, yeah, by the way, she was sick. She was hurt. I hurt her. I sold her. I did this. And I went home to an empty house waiting for 6 o'clock to arrive to make up a story about my child. And when you're talking about a 3.5 window, anything can be done in 3 hours. And that's where this lie comes in, because you don't really have an exact time. And you got to remember one thing. Who's coming up with the 3 o'clock window? Because that's been heard and said by so many people. But you still have to ask yourself, is this commentary from Candace to Chris Madonna and other people? Well, I think it was around 3 when I got home. But when she did the interview with her husband, you never heard her say anything about the time, what time it was. So where are you all getting 3 o'clock? Because this is the same person that said they lose track of time. They don't pay attention to time. So I'm going to say it once again. How do you come up with the 3 o'clock window that she made it home? Or this is when she noticed a child missing. You didn't tell that in the interview. So why would you tell that to another person? See, this is what I keep trying to tell you all. They're lying. So you don't know what time that woman got to the house. It could have been 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 5:55, 5:45. You really don't know what time she made it home. And when she made it home, did she indeed have that little girl with her? Bingo card. So you don't even know. The only person that knows if the child made it home is the mother, Grandis, and the boys. If indeed they were home when Grandis got home and Candace got home. Because if you lie about one thing, you'll lie about another. And to this day, she has not formally told the public what time she made it home, what time she actually called law enforcement to say her child went missing. So if we're to bank on 3 o'clock, a 3 o'clock window to 6:27 p.m., you can do a lot of damage in those hours as far as willful intent, foul play, discarding of a child, a cover-up, selling of a child, and deliberate murder. Because if this is a planned event, as I did a live the other day, please check out the content in my library. Who's to say this was not an orchestrated day to get the child out, to get an eyewitness such as Boy H to say he saw her with the child and get the child gone and then come back, wait a little while, and then call 911 to say my child is missing. And you have to ask yourself the obvious questions. What are the odds of a child being kidnapped out of that house the way it's set up? 2, who are the eyewitnesses that the child actually returned to the house? 3, are all the adults involved in the discarnment, willful intent, murder of a child? 4, who's going to tell the truth finally what happened to Summer Wells on that day? Is everybody telling the truth that the child was walking and breathing on June 15th? Because if it's not true, then that means Allie's lying, his mother is lying, the grandmother is lying, and the mother and father are lying, and anybody that they interviewed at a smoke shop, grocery store, pharmacy, hospital, they're lying. So will the other outside parties that live in Kingsport, Rogersville, that saw this woman and her kid, grandmother, Boy H, will others testify to say, yes, on June 15th, I saw this woman out and about with the said child, an older lady, and a teenage boy? See, we don't know because we don't know. You have to have a signed statement. And that's the only way I'm going to believe it, is if it's in writing. Yes, I saw this woman out with these people on June 15th. It's the only way I believe it. And the way people have been lying and jumping in this story, I don't know really if I believe it in a signed statement. Thank you for joining me.
Timelines are so important. And when they're not clear, that is a problem. All right, folks, it's the interview room with Chris McDonough. It's on YouTube. Subscribe to it. Watch it all. Incredible detail. Chris will be talking again about this and other stories. Great to see you. Thank you so much. When we come back, I want to bring in a body language expert and a psychiatrist to take a look and a listen to what Summer's family is saying about what happened to that little girl.
All right. Brief intermission. Next, you'll have body experts to give their commentary pertaining to what they see and hear from parents in their interviews and commentary. What will they have to say? Thank you for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans. This is Vinny Palatine with Court TV. Amen.
There is a time frame here between this trailer and that house within, you said 2 to 10 minutes maybe.
No, 2 to 5.
2 to 5. And then she goes in and now she's gone. What do you think happened? Where would a suspect have been, in your opinion, in this?
My opinion?
Yeah, in this area.
They could have been sitting anywhere. They could have been sitting over here, off a little edge right here, or where the bus is, that little bushy area right there. They could have been sitting
Right out here.
Yeah. And
Okay, come show me.
What's that?
That's all right.
And I just recently found out that there was like, I guess he's a child molester.
Okay.
That lives like literally 8 minutes from my house. He can literally walk from his house into my house within 8 minutes.
Okay.
And like that bushy area right there, you can't really tell if anybody's crouched down there or anything.
What do the authorities think?
I don't know what they think. I really don't.
Fascinating. Chris McDonough from the interview room, speaking with Summer Wells' mom. What could have happened? Well, there's a child molester, lives 8 minutes away, could have been hiding in the bushes there. Then I noticed that little dog that was there. I wonder if the dog would have barked if someone was hiding in the bushes. I don't know. Let's bring in our experts joining me tonight in Winchester, Virginia. Body language experts specializing in micro expressions. Dr. Stephen Langston is with us. And in Los Angeles, California, forensic psychiatrist, trial expert, witness, and columnist, Dr. Carol Lieberman. Great to see you both. Stephen, let me begin with you. We're going to show another little piece of Chris's interview with mom, Candace, talking about her missing child, Summer Wells. Let's watch, and you tell me if you notice anything about mom.
Miss Candace, while I'm out here, is there anything that you feel is important that you'd want to tell the world that I haven't asked you, that you want to let them know?
Not really, just hope that everybody that's looking for her, that we can find her, bring her home safely.
Okay.
She was very precious to me.
Okay. And the authorities are working hard on this.
Yes, from what I understand, yes.
Okay. And, we're going to let them do their job.
Yes, sir.
Right?
That's right.
And you're cooperating, obviously.
Yep,
Okay.
100%.
All right, Dr. Stephen Langston. I'm just going to jump in here and I'm going to ask you one thing that I noticed. She said she was precious to me.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it is common when you're looking at those interviews, any kind of statements like that, when someone comes up with a past tense comment that they already know what's happened, they've already decided this. One of the difficulties I have with this is the regional dialect that happens there. If you listen to Candace and you listen to Donnie, even if you listen to her mother's statement, the neighbor's statement, even the captain of the police department, they all have that same rhythmic dialect that's in their language. It's not common, maybe necessarily across everywhere, but in the mountainous region there in Tennessee, they don't break that, and they continue to say was. I saw an interview with her where she talked about how she was a tomboy, and then Donnie mentioned her favorite song was Godzilla, and so they do seem to use this term a lot, even to a point that I think social media has pulled it out so much. They're even acknowledging, saying, I don't really know what that means. I'm saying was, and she was. He said we're losing hope in this stuff. It does seem odd. I don't think that's necessarily the right thing a parent to, would come forward with. You think they would be keeping hope. You think they would keep it in the present tense, recognizing something in past tense either could have been maybe they've given up and they've gone ahead and mourned, they've gone ahead and closed that stuff, but calling out the past tense is definitely an eye-opening for both mom and dad there.
Yeah, Dr. Carol Lieberman, your thoughts about mom?
Well, I think we need to call in Sherlock Holmes, first of all, because there are so many suspects in this case. You know, you would think the mom would be the last one in some ways. You know, you don't want to blame her or think that she's the guilty one. But, you know, there have been a number of things that she said, like, for example, when this first happened, she was first interviewed and so on. She talked about how she was so close to the front door that Summer couldn't have gotten out the front door without her seeing her. Well, okay, but then it turns out that the room downstairs where she went supposedly to play has a back door that the boys leave open. And I was watching a video of the father, an interview of the father, and I took copious notes, and he mentioned a whole bunch of people who it could be. For example, the man who was working with him at a job, and he fired him because the man was he was out there, is what he said, and he thinks that it was due to meth. And he said that he had brought this man to their home, and he saw Summer a few times, and his wife had seen him looking at Summer in a way that she thought she didn't like the way that he was looking at her. Then there's this story about, you know, how they keep Summers. She was sleeping in the bed between the two of them, and he said, you know, she should sleep in her own bed, and she said, no, I want to be with you. And then you know, he talked about how this is very interesting, during the first 3 months of Summer's life, Summer only wanted to be with him. Now, he went to work and he came home, and of course that was a big deal. But he said she only wanted to be with me for these first 8 months. Does the mother feel, disconnected from her, and she really could do something to her? Now with this story, with the going under the water, did something happen to her, and the mother is afraid to acknowledge that she was responsible for her when this happened, and she died, and she didn't do anything? But then there are other people who are potential. He talks about his stepsisters, and then there's a meth head down the road. And then Dave Dawson, the flu guy, and Jose. There are all these different characters who the father cites as potential people who might have done something to her.
Now, Dr. Stephen Langston, I'm going to do this quickly, but I need to show you one more piece of what Candace told Chris McDonough. I want to get your quick take on it. Let's watch.
Skull shave, the power of a smooth, clean shave in the palm of your hand.
Sorry about that, you guys. Intermission. Everybody's got to get their coins. Thank you all so much for joining me. So there's a lot being said here as this woman is speaking. A lot of people being brought up by outside sources, YouTubers, putting these people on Front Street as potential suspects. But that's the point. You don't know what happened to the child, and you don't know who actually has been at the house visiting the past 5 months, 6 months, a year. You don't know the interactions with others, said people from church, strangers, family members. So you can't say who's actually involved with the disappearance of Summer Wells. You have to have a receipt. And so far, nobody really has a receipt to anything pertaining to June 15th. Just a lot of he said, she said, and different random people talking to different random people that allegedly know the parents and the children. But what they know isn't relevant to June 15th, 2021. Thank you for joining me.
You know, just I was crying my eyes out.
Okay.
And so when I got up there to the courthouse, we tried to do it, but I couldn't do it. Okay. So we waited a few days, and then I went back and I did it, and I passed it.
Okay.
So that was that.
Okay. And then what about the rumors of this relationship situation with Hunter?
Are you crazy? I got a husband and 4 kids that I love to death.
Okay. Okay.
To me, Hunter was another one of my kids.
Okay.
That's how I felt about any kid.
Go ahead.
You see a lot in her eyes there. You notice how wide her eyes get when she's trying to talk about the polygraph story, and definitely when he called out Hunter, those shoulders, you couldn't see this about what was going on, where there is definitely some uncertainty there. One thing that really catches me out is the direction her eyes are going when she's talking. She's not going to the right, where usually you go to remember. She's going to the left, where she's constructing stories. Now, again, there could be a lot to be said there. We're not mind reading by any means, but there's more to that story. Just off those facial expressions, her eyes are telling us a lot.
Absolutely. All right, Dr. Stephen Langston, Dr. Carol Lieberman staying with us. We got much more straight ahead. Don't go away. In Highland Park, Illinois, the alleged July 4th shooter makes his first appearance in court, already facing 7 murder counts, and the DA says...
Okay, let's chop that up. I'll have to rewatch that. Shoulders, eye contact. Looking to the left, as this person is saying. Is there, or had there been hanky-panky between Candace and Boy H? She's not telling the truth in this interview to Chris McDonough. I love my husband. I have 4 children. I love them to death. Well, one's possibly dead. So one could say, yeah, you loved one literally to death. I said that. What's the truth? Could it just be possible that Hunter was bait? Hunter was somebody to use for down the road when the story broke that the child went missing. He was an eyewitness to seeing the child. Stay woke now. Could it be that Candace Blywells used Hunter as bait to be on security cameras because she knows that going in and out of places with him, people would see them together, and he could say to law enforcement, yes, she picked me up. Yes, I got in a car with her and her child. Yes, we went here, 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 and here. Yes, we eventually picked up her mother from the hospital. Yes, we went to the pharmacy. We went here, here, here. Yes, we did this, this, and this. And yes, they dropped me off at my house. And now, mom, grandmama saw me get out of the car. They spoke, waved, whatever, however it went down at that said location. And she left with her child and her mother in tow. Is that what happened June 15th? The Hunter was used. He doesn't know anything. He didn't participate in a crime. He's not covering up anything. He didn't have any type of sexual relationship with the said Candace Bly on June 15th. He just went basically because somebody baited him to go. She didn't have any true intentions of hanging with a 15-year-old. Or maybe so. But the initial reason for getting him, picking him up was so he could see the child and later tell law enforcement, yeah, I was with her. I saw the child was alive, she was happy. What's the truth? Thank you for joining me.
More charges are on the way. Tonight, we take a look at the warning signs, the red flags. Were they
He's still talking about the other business.
The suspect's family.
Let's see. Trying to see if he jumped back to it. Hold on one second.
Thoughts about Dr. Carol Lieberman, your thoughts about Dad's letter? I know you listened to Dad's interview as well.
Yes. When I read that letter, if there's something rather strange about this letter. First of all, when he says about YouTube, it's a price we may not be able to afford. I don't think that he's talking about money. I think maybe he's talking about that the secret. If we find out where you are, or what happened to you, that it could break. Our family may not survive. He's has a criminal history. He's certainly shouldn't be omitted from the cast of characters that are possible suspects. I mean, of course, it seems that he loves her and he's religious and all of this, but and then when he was asked about whether his wife, whether he thinks his wife could have done something to his daughter, he kept saying no because she's too broken up by this. In fact, she almost went over the edge. So, and there's alcohol and drugs that are part of this family, part of the parents' lives too. So, some of the things they may not realize what they did. And then, in the last video that you played, she said, I have a husband and 4 kids, and I love them to death. What would Freud say?
Unbelievable. Dr. Stephen Langston, your thoughts about Dad's letter?
I call out the I a lot. It seems really odd. I can only imagine what a father would go through as a father of 2 daughters. That would absolutely be an ends too. And I do think, he's expressing something here. But the difference, what I see in the letter, especially from the statements, is the lack of we. Because they both have lost this child, not just I. And so I almost think he's calling out and separating himself from some of the subject matter instead of saying, we ask God to please look over you. And I really see that more of the role of the father and husband. He's definitely isolating himself out in that letter. Now, that could also be for some self-healing purposes. That's definitely why an I could be there. But the absence of we is definitely a call out to me.
Dr. Stephen Langston, Dr. Carol Lieberman, appreciate your time and your insight tonight.
All right, everybody, it's Court TV. Very, very, very good commentary. I love me some Vinnie Palatine, honey. He brings the bang. I want to thank these doctors for coming on and giving their commentary pertaining to the body language and the writing of the letter by Don. And you have heard this many times in true crime when people are talking and spinning a web, writing letters, journals. The wording and the verbiage means everything. Whether you are educated or not educated, you have to read between the lines. Past tense has always been a red flag. And there are times when we all will use past tense, but we haven't had anything to do with the said crime. Just said it by mistake. He was nice. She was nice. Maybe your mind has pushed out the fact that they won't be coming back. So you use past tense. But I concur with the I. Why would you be using I when you are married? We miss her. We need her. We don't know what happened to her. We are devastated. We are both going over the edge or about to go over the edge. Not I, she. And I don't think this is any type of self-healing process when he was speaking, because he's been very belligerent and derogatory in his commentary towards other races and his wife and women in general. So everything is I because he's self-centered and he's a narcissist. It's obvious. Probably a sociopath, because sociopaths use I. It's always I and me. I did this. This happened to me. I can't believe this. There's never a we, a they. If it's they did this to me. And you see that often in this commentary that is played out on social media pertaining to Donald Wells. They did it. The YouTubers, they. Well, you should have been quiet. You should have kept quiet. Should have never said anything to a YouTuber or anybody else. So let's ask the ultimate question. Do they now regret, the Wells, ever speaking to Chris Madonna, showing the house, going to the swimming hole, talking to him, Dr. Phil interview? Do they regret speaking to the public about what happened on June 15th, the disposition of the child, the disposition of their relationship, the disposition of Candace? Does Donald regret ever speaking to the public? Because you can't blame YouTubers, because to me, they're just random people. They're not important. He doesn't know me. He doesn't know any of the other YouTubers. They don't know him. I don't know them. You only know what's played out. And had they sat and been quiet and acted like civilized adults, you wouldn't have had half of the stuff you have right now that's played out on social media pertaining to the house, photographs, TikTok videos, Facebook posts. It's because people went rambling and snooping through her personal things, and then she gave them permission to snoop by letting them come in the house. You knew your house was in disarray. Your property was in disarray. You should have never invited anybody up there. But it gave us a glimpse into the lives of the children and the family. And yes, we judge them because that's what we do. We're human beings. And many people live like they live all over the world. But then there's some people who don't live like that. But as I've told you all, you should have common sense to know that people in Tennessee don't live like that. And you know that. And I was looking at the structure just now, and this said video. You see gray cylinder blocks built into the earth underneath the house, going down to the basement. But there's a hole in the middle of the cylinder blocks, concrete, whatever you want to call it. So I'm assuming that's why is that an opening there? So that's a great place for animals to go breed and scour around and die. There shouldn't even be an opening under the house. So this just goes to show you this man didn't care anything about his property, his own house. That you leave that opening there for vermin and possums and raccoons and dogs to mate and be pregnant and go up under there. And you don't even think of a worst case scenario such as an animal dies under there. Now you've got to crawl up under there to get them out. So now you got to call an exterminator, which we already know he probably would not. He would get down on hand and knee and belly, crawl up under there. You see, all these things show he's never cared for himself. And this is the one thing I said in my commentary yesterday on my Blind Love video. The person can't love you because he or she does not love himself. So you're sitting right here waiting for somebody to give you something that they can't give. As I said, they can make an attempt, but would it be genuine? That's something I didn't add in my commentary yesterday. Would it be genuine? Because if you are numb for most of your life, it's going to take a lot for you to come out of that funk, that shell you've been hiding in, to act like a civilized individual, a caring individual. And you see that with these two. They're both numb. So you're talking about two people meshing, attempting to be evenly yoked. But it's foolishness because they came from foolishness. In 6 degrees of separation, these two met in the universe to breed children to only bring more mess onto the earth. And that's why you have one child missing, 3 in foster care, 1 parent locked up, and another one missing in action. Need I say more? If you'd like to join the panel, the link is in the chat. To give your opinion pertaining to the information related in this Court TV segment, they did an outstanding job in the commentary, Mr. Vinny Politan and his guests. Thank you so much. Hit the link if you want to give your opinion. This week will mark 13 months that the child has gone missing, been missing. No information from law enforcement, TBI, FBI pertaining to where the investigation stands, suspects, debunked theories, nothing. Searches, a reward fund that's now going to court, just a lot of foolishness and a bunch of nothing. And as he said, we don't want to wake up and find out there's no suspects, no nothing pertaining to the disappearance of Summer Wells another year from now. Welcome, my guest, Kinsley Masters. This is my mod. Thank you for joining me. What do you have to say? I'm going to step away for a minute, and you just go ahead and take it from here for everything that was said in the commentary. Thank you.
I liked what his female guest said.
Yes, I do too. I agree. I like her. I like her too.
When she referenced the father is a criminal with a past, so we need to look at him. I mean, that's what she said. He is a criminal. He should be looked at in depth. And then I really liked when the gentleman, I think it was at like the 33-minute mark, when he says the was is important because they reference was in everything that they have said since day one. So to me, I've always looked at the was part as well. I don't think a lot of attention, well, maybe not like in the YouTube community. I'm sure with law enforcement, they've really honed in on Donald Wells. I mean, I don't know if YouTube has focused a ton on him like they have her, just because she was with Summer the day this supposedly happened. But I do agree he needs to be looked at in depth, solely because he is a criminal and has a very lengthy past. I don't really know if I read into as much as Candace does when she stated that I lost my train of thought really quick. When she states that the order was all mixed up.
Okay. What are your questions?
Yeah, I mean, are we really so focused on like the order of events? If, you know, two of the locations were flip-flopped, I mean, is that really detrimental? I think what's really detrimental is they both say they went there and they both say they left. So we really need to focus on what happened after she dropped Boy H off.
Okay. So there was a lot said in this commentary. So I know you heard me intervene in between. That was trying to cut down the live time. Do you believe the parents are involved?
I do.
Which one is involved in the let's just say the harming of the child?
I think she is, and I think
who, Candace?
Yes,
okay.
I think Candace is, and
but give me what and why she is.
I'm only saying her solely based on the fact that from what we know, she was with her.
Okay, I got you.
You know, she was solely with her, and that came out of her mouth. I think that when Boy H says and Candace says, when they were driving from wherever, Dawn calls and starts talking about there's a man up on the hill trying to touch little kids. To me, that's like a man. Why? I think he was just placing that phone call solely to throw it all off.
Well, then that means that all parties are involved and that this was orchestrated and planned, because you have to admit that's strange that he would say that to her on that 15th of June, and hours later the child goes missing. What are the odds?
Oh, that's me, sorry.
Everything.
And I think that he did that, and I think she had Boy H with her so that he could vouch that he did call his wife that day.
Okay, but let's go here though. See, the flip of the coin with that is she told him to be quiet, remember? So how can we now say that it was planned? If she's telling H to be quiet, then that means she didn't want Don to know he was in the car. So see how everything conflicts each other?
It does. It really does conflict each other. Every last thing conflicts each other. And I think that's a very strange comment to say there's a man up there trying to touch little kids.
It's very strange. You know why it's strange? Because the police never came before.
Exactly.
The police never, hey, Nubian, the police never came. So why are you sitting here telling your wife, hey, there's somebody up there messing with our kids, but you don't call the police? Neither one of you called the police. Neither one of you rush back to the house. This is where, yes, it shows some type of complicity on the part of the parents, because I'm not going to sit here and have my children call me and tell me there's somebody at the house. I'm getting ready to leave my job, Johnny on the spot, and get to my damn house.
Yeah, like
so I think that's a part of the story we have not really focused on when spinning this web about June 15th. Nobody really dives into why was the police not called when they had that conversation. There was supposed to be no more car hopping on June 15th. She's supposed to turn her car around and said, I got to go back to the house. So that might be my next live, because nobody chops that up on YouTube. Why was the police not called back to the house?
And, you know, let's just hypothetically say, let's say Candace says, oh, I didn't turn my car around and go home because I had Boy H with me and he needed to get home.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You still would take him either to his house or take him with you.
That's what I was getting at. What mother? She can't say that, because any mother in their right mind would turn around and say, hell no, take my kid with you. Get home.
Yeah.
Get home right now. Figure it out. Call 911 on your route to, you know, to your home.
Yeah.
And none of that whole little snippet that
was inserted in on that day is very bizarre.
See, that's why there are little things that we overlook pertaining to the story. And I keep telling people, the interview with the Ansley girl is very pivotal, because in this video, you realize Candace has been watching social media to tell her why she doesn't walk around. That's number one. This comment to Don, but yet she's telling H to be quiet, is contradictory, because one, you don't know to believe that this was a setup with Don calling and out of the blue talking about somebody on the property, and then later the little girl goes missing who was with the mother all day. What are the odds? Because the children were left alone, it should have been one of the boys missing if that's the case, because they were there all day. Nubian, what do you have to say? Nubian, unmute your mic, dear.
Look.
Hello? She's got to unmute. Hold on a minute.
Hi.
Come on, give me your opinion, sweetheart, of the information. How you doing, hon?
Hiya. Maybe if you ask me some questions and I can answer them, because my head is just, this is just took me to a whole new level.
Well, let's talk about what we just mentioned. Is it possible that it was a setup initially to get rid of the child, because you have her telling H to be quiet, but yet out of the blue, this man is talking about somebody on the property, and these people never turn around to go to the house to see who's up there with their children? That's a very strange comment, and it's strange that the boys are left alone, but none of them are kidnapped, and then her child is with her all day, and she happens to go kidnap after this commentary with Donald Wells.
I think it was just an opportunity moment. I don't think it was a setup as such. You know, they are shady parents.
Because you have to weigh the odds. You have to weigh the odds of somebody coming in there taking the child out of a basement. As I said, 3 boys were already there all day.
Or maybe
the way the house is set up, dogs are outside barking, this and that. Just saying.
Or maybe it was just the right time, the right moment, and they just went with it and said, "Yes, we're just going to go with this." They're shady parents anyway. The whole setup.
Well, what do you think happened?
My personal opinion is that H, can I just say H, was just dragged into this. Ali is just no good, just walkless. Do you know something? Now I've phoned in. You know, I've got like a keyboard warrior. And then you phone in and you don't know what to say.
I see. Well, what do you think of the experts on the panel? Chris Madonna talking to Vinnie Politan about the house and this and that. As you know, I've asked a lot of questions intermediate during this. What do you think Chris thinks of her? What he thought of her after he saw the house? Let's go there since you can't think. What do you think he thought of her version after he saw the house?
They're guilty. When we all saw the house, it was
no. I mean Chris's opinion, not ours. Chris.
I think Chris feels she's guilty.
I mean, the first time after 100%. Talking to her.
I think when he went to the house and he saw the situation and just her mannerisms.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you've broke up.
I'm not broke up. I'm quiet. I'm letting you talk.
Oh, it's me. Sorry. Why wasn't the police called? We don't really know, do we? It's just hearsay. It's hearsay. We don't know the timing.
Yeah, but that's why I asked all these questions. That's all you have is her and his version.
Yeah, definitely. So we have to just deduct from what we know and say Chris McDonough's video just enlightened us all.
Mm-hmm.
We just saw a different side. First, it was a bit shady. You know, the interview she first done with Brandy, is it, or somebody? Yeah. Yeah, well, It's straight away. You would straight away. If you're getting a phone call to say that there's somebody shady, but obviously she knew there wasn't nobody on the property shady. So she carried on with her day, didn't she?
Well,
She wasn't worried.
let's go here. Lord have mercy, I kind of lost my train of thought myself. Do you think he helped or hindered this investigation by talking to H, the grandmother, Allie, and other people? Because as you heard TBI say in his commentary, that all this extra calling in off of stories and videos did not help. So we need to know, hey, did they even have a suspect or suspects in the beginning? And then all this gossip coming in, did they even have a suspect in the beginning? Did Chris Madonna help by going to talk to these people? Because to this day, we still don't have a child.
The Chris McDonough interview, I think he.
You think what?
I think with Chris McDonough, he hindered it, but he also gave us an insight which we would have never seen. But I find with him, I mean, I'm glad he did it, but
Okay.
he twists the narrative sometimes to make us the lay people see something what he wants us to see.
And what is it that? And what is it that he tried to twist allegedly?
Because with me, he's retired, but yet still he's.
What is it that he tried to twist?
Just the whole narrative of it all that he knows. He puts out to me. He puts out the persona that he is still a registered policeman. So
Okay,
he's
that's what you're saying. So you're trying to say he's throwing his weight around more or less, but he doesn't know any more than anybody else.
But the masses will. The masses.
Dolly in the chat is saying that they set up Boy H. That Donald knew that Boy H was in the car. So Nubian, you don't believe that Don knew that the boy was in the car?
No, I don't. I don't think he knew he was in the car.
Okay.
And I really don't think he knew that they were still in contact as much as they have been.
Right. Because somebody in the chat felt like that Boy H knew that they knew her business every day about calling her husband every day. But like I told somebody in the chat, we don't know what H knew or was hanging with her every day. Candy talked to him like he was an adult. So he's probably going off the stuff that Candy told him about her husband calling her every day. Kinsley, what do you have to say about Boy H being in a car and Don knowing he was there?
Don may not have known that he was there. Hence the reason she possibly said, "Shh, don't say anything, be quiet."
Yeah, that's what's contradictory. It's that she's telling him to be quiet, but yet what are the odds of him mentioning something about a man being up on a property and then hours later the little girl goes missing, but the boy doesn't go missing?
I think that Don possibly thought or knew that Candace shouldn't have been hanging around this young kid. Maybe he had a sixth sense that she had a thing for him. Maybe she was flirty towards him. Maybe
I'm confused at what you're saying. Are you saying that he knew that the boy was in the car, Kinsley?
No, I'm just hypothetically saying possibly why he didn't want Candace around him.
Okay, but if he don't know that she's around him, then why would he be thinking about it? So I'm kind of confused at what you're saying.
I don't know why. I'm just kind of throwing that out there. He probably didn't know. He probably did not know that boy was in the car because he had already told Candace stop hanging around him.
So you think that what? The little boy had been around her recently?
Yeah, I know. But
no, I'm asking. Do you think he had been around her?
I don't think he knew that he was in there. I don't think so. Why else would she have told him shh then? Unless that was part of the whole narrative. Maybe her telling Boy H don't say anything was part of her and Dawn's plan if this was in fact planned out.
See, that's where there's a problem. Her telling him to be quiet, but yet Don is mentioning an alleged person on the property. So one will say this is contradictory of him knowing that the boy's in the car and this is a setup between the two, because why would she tell the boy to hush? Seems like to me she'd say, hey, I got H in the car with me, if she had already told him that H was in the car. So why tell the boy to hush if her and Don set this up and he knew that H would be in the car?
I don't know. It all contradicts each other. As far as that, be quiet goes. I mean,
well,
it really
Tracy is saying JS is at the top of her list, and Dolly is saying Don and Candace set it all up together. I don't know. All right.
JS, she's as sick as the rest of them, period. That woman is disturbed. She's got major things. The shit that woman has said on YouTube is...
Oof.
I can't even
Hey,
come up
Nubian,
with
I
the
unmuted
words
your mic.
for it.
Okay.
Anything else you'd like to say, Nubian? Because I see you having difficulties talking.
And I don't
No, I haven't got difficulty talking. It's just, I think with H, she used him.
Okay.
Candice used him. And I don't understand how Ali would allow her son to be in that situation. I know she's no better, but why do that to your child?
Why do what? What did you say, Nubian? I can't hear you.
I know. So, can you hear me now?
Yeah, what did you just say?
I said, H, he was set up. Candice used him for whatever she wanted to use him for, but I don't understand how Ali, as a big woman and his mother, would put him in that situation.
Well, she didn't care about her kids. I think that's obvious. She had some issues herself due to the fact that at one point she was hanging with her children were hanging with her. She's hanging with her sister was hanging with Candace. They're all in cahoots together. Let's just stick to what has been proven. They all hung together at one time. Fell out with Candace over some money and God knows what else, but yet still let this woman come pick up her son. That shows me that Allie doesn't care about herself. She doesn't care about her children. She had a daughter running away that ended up at Candace's house with a girl out in the middle of the holler in a whole other town. See, all of these people, it's just dysfunction all the way through.
Pure dysfunction. And I don't know how they've been allowed to have their children, keep their children. The authorities.
Somebody's asking, how did he use it? Dolly's asking, how did she use him then at Nubian UK? I think it's obvious, Dolly.
Well, he was like a decoy, really. He was just there serving a purpose. She was just using him either for sex.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you. Everybody, welcome Kathleen to the channel. Amen. Thank you, sweetheart.
Or whatever we don't know what she was exactly using him for, but she was using him.
Yes, I think she was using him. Because none of this today makes any sense. For looking
after the children, for whatever she knows what she was using him for. We don't. But Ali, as a mother, regardless of she's dysfunctional herself. Come on now. Come on.
Yeah, I'm going to be truthful with you. I'm going to say this, and this is just from what I've seen. None of these people need children.
Nope.
None. Nobody mentioned in this storyline, I'm going to say it, needs children. Should have had children because they're just irresponsible. They've never down the road said, well, I made a mistake over here. Let me try to redeem myself. Nobody's done that. Everybody is still doing whack stuff, and they're all over the age of 30, 35, and they don't have it together. And it doesn't make any sense because you're breeding these children like they're animals, and they're out here grazing around like cows and billy goats. I hate to say it. And this looks like they're animals. They're just out here on their own, fending for themselves. That's what animals do. They fend for themselves because they're animals. They can't talk. They can't sit at a table, desk, write, learn. You understand what I mean? They're animals. That's what an animal does. It goes out in the world. And that's how these people are using their children. They're using their kids like they're animals.
They have no parenting skills.
No, none. And they're not even trying to get any.
You have these, I don't even know how, like, these people have,
if there was really truly open CPS cases, shame on them.
And yes, I would say that too, because we still don't have verification who has open cases on Candace and Don, because that defeats the purpose of the children still staying with her 6 weeks after the fact of the little girl missing. If I have an open investigation, I'm not getting ready to let you keep your boys.
Hence how they went in and took Ryan Dean's other baby when she had it.
So that's why we have to question the motivation behind DHS in that area. What is the truth pertaining to an open investigation? Because you calling on somebody does not mean there's an open investigation. Nope. Just because you called someone, the worker would have to tell you verbatim, yes, we have opened up an investigation into allegations you and Pookie Ray Ray made on this said person. But they don't have to tell you that because they're not supposed to. They're just supposed to take the information, but they're not to tell you that they have an open investigation on anyone. They're not supposed to tell you anything.
Okay. Sorry.
No, you just have to be sorry about.
Hey, so can I just ask you something? The last thing, because before I go, because there's a lot of feedback. I've lost my train of thought now. It was something to do with the CPS. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So, if there was a CPS open case, why did it take so long for them to take the boys away, looking at the condition of the house alone?
Yeah, because as my friend told me, new acquaintance as a social worker said, the state of Tennessee does not just take children because the house is dirty or the property is unkempt.
But it wasn't dirty. It just wasn't the dirt. It was everything you could think of.
I said unkempt.
Oh,
I understand what you're saying, but that's the point. We're outsiders looking in. You have to count how many people are investigating, if investigating, calls that came in, the validity of what they're alleging. Because somebody could have gone out there and said, well, yeah, it looks really bad out here. Yeah, they got wires running through the house. Yeah, it ain't no working refrigerator. Yeah, ain't no working stove. But maybe they got a couple of pot pies or pizzas frozen on ice or a deep freezer. I don't know, because I really don't know what the hell's in their house. But it would be shameful that workers, supervisors, whomever, would allow the children to stay there. But that's the thing. It's been said. Many children are not removed. It has to be severe to remove the children, alongside, probably abuse as well. But I would think if the house is just really nasty, dirty, such as maggots, fecal matter, things like that, that should be an automatic removal. Hello, Mary, how you doing?
And I mean, I know that they do it, but it could be your standards and somebody else's standards.
Right,
but just the fact that over here,
yeah, I know what you're saying. How it look.
Child over here in England with that, how it was dangerous.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I'm saying what you're saying.
The adults and children. So I was surprised.
Yeah, and I understand what you're saying. And I think a lot of people are wondering that if indeed somebody was calling in on her, and indeed if there was an actual open case, did you ever go to the property? Because one thing I would be leery of is if I'm investigating a person and people are alleging that Candace wouldn't open the door or this and that. So you don't really know what's the truth or not. If I did go out there and she didn't open the door day one, day two, I'm coming back with a deputy. I'm coming back with a deputy, and we're going to have him open the door one way or the other if I think the children's lives are in danger. If I see that your car is here, I know that is a registered car in your or your husband's name. I know you're in there, and I'm going to tell you, I know you're in here. I have a warrant for you to open the door.
There's ways and means. Yeah, there's ways and means of getting to people.
Yes, because that happened here in Knoxville with the woman who had the unauthorized daycare where the children drowned in the swimming pool. Eventually, when they came back, they had evidence to watch and prove she lived there. She still was taking care of more children than allotted on her license or whatever. And she opened that damn door. When she saw the deputy, the police, she opened the door.
Quick speed. I'm going to drop down because there's a lot of feedback, but I just had to ring.
Thank you so much for coming up.
I'm always keyboard queen, so blessings. Thank you.
Blessings
Bye.
to you. Be careful. Thank you so much, honey. All right, everybody. That's Nubian. Thank you, honey. All right, go ahead, Kinsley.
Well, I just this whole thing is just a complete and utter mess. I personally don't think it was right that CM went and decided to sit down with a 15-year-old boy.
Yeah, I don't think that was right either. A lot of people disagree with me, but I don't care because I go by what's common sense and the law. The law has stipulations of anyone talking to a child when it comes to an investigation.
Yeah, this investigation was
a parent needs to be present. And a lot of you think, well, he was present. His mama was present. It's like they don't understand common sense. This is not a detective on the case talking to Boy H and Alex. This was a random person who used to be in law enforcement coming all the way to Tennessee to immerse himself in the case and ask him personal questions. Nobody had any right to be asking him anything if they were not working on the case.
He no longer holds a badge. He was not a detective or a detective in the state of Tennessee. He should know better.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Did it help us get an insight to how these people lived? Absolutely.
Yes, exactly. It did. Yes, it did.
Now, was Candace stupid for talking to him? Yeah, but she is a grown woman. He should have known better. Hey, don't go talk to any of these people. It is a catch-22 because at the end of the day, we got to see how, her mannerism and how this lady lived and her children.
Yeah.
But talking to the boy, no, I don't agree with that at all. Not one little bit. His mother.
I think it's interesting he didn't talk to her younger children. That's the one. Those are the set of children nobody talked to. Everybody was all for talking to Don and Candace and Boy H and his mama and Sherry and Shamiqua and Bubba, but ain't nobody wanted to talk to her smaller children. Why is that? Because don't you think the smaller children would have gave probably a better version of things?
Oh, of course.
But they were gone out the picture, so no outsider YouTuber thought, let's talk to her children, because 9 times out of 10, she wouldn't have wanted you to talk to her children.
Young kids don't have a filter.
They wouldn't have allowed that. Yeah, they probably do have a cell phone. The oldest one probably had a cell phone. You know that. Because a lot of children have cell phones.
Yeah, I don't think that they talk to these younger kids. I don't even know if they were there for them to talk to, but young kids don't have a filter. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're talking about a filter. I thought you said cell phone. I'm sorry.
No, a filter.
Well, see, that's why I'm saying everybody's talking to all these other random people. The people you should have been talking to were her children. Because the boys could probably tell you something that you ain't heard yet. Ting!
Young kids, they just ramble stuff because they're not taught to lie. Little younger kids. They don't know how to, pick and choose about what they're going to say. They're just going to tell you something, and 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the truth.
I'm surprised Chris didn't want to talk to them. Like, can I speak to your children about that day? She would have probably told him no.
Oh, of course.
She would have told him no. If you'd like to join us, hit the link. Give us your opinion pertaining to the commentary with Chris Madonna and Vinny Politan on Court TV. I played you the audio. Please go into the YouTube queue for verification. It's also posted to my community board. We're chopping up the information in the said audio, going back in time a year ago. What has happened to Summer Wells? How did this child go missing in the middle of the day, out of nowhere? Is this foul play on parts of the parents, the siblings, other parties, grandmother, outside friends, associates, strangers? How did somebody get up that driveway undetected to steal a child? Did they hand her over to somebody? Did they sell the child? Or was there an accident on the part of the mother, the children, the father? It's a cover-up and they discarded the child. Is this a deliberate, cold-blooded malice murder of a parent murdering the child? Is Donald Wells, the second cohort, came in late after the crime was committed, and he's going along with the flow and the lies pertaining to Candace Bly of June 15, 2021. Is this also an orchestrated murder that was planned before June 15th? I've done a video about that the other day. And the fact that Don tells Candace in audio, video, that a man was on the property. Nobody ever weighs in on this comment. Was there somebody up there on the mount while he was at work and the mother was out and about with the grandmother, Summer, and Boy H? And why didn't they rush back to the house if they thought that there was somebody on the property with their children? 2, what are the odds that the said person didn't snatch one of the boys? How did they know that somebody was on the property? Were the children outside? So now you have to ask the ultimate question. If you believe this commentary from Donald Wells, were the children outside and not inside? Who was the person that confronted the child? Children. How many were outside? Did the person come up to the door? Did the children look out the window and see somebody rummaging around, looking strange, peculiar? Can they identify this alleged person? Is this a made-up story by Donald Wells? Did he willingly spin this narrative lie because he knew that boy H was in the car with Candace, which one would believe this was a setup? He knew he was in the car. Candace tried to make the boy pretend to be quiet when she already knew Don was going to call to mention this mystery person. And then hours later, Summer Wells goes missing.
You know, and I think it's strange also. You know, Candace this whole entire time has pounded into the pavement that there's no cell phone service up there, right? The cell phone service is very shoddy. I don't really recall what she said about the Wi-Fi, but if the boys are in the house and she's gone,
they have to have Wi-Fi because how could they be
right,
watching YouTube?
Not only that, but how did they contact Dawn to tell Dawn that there's a weirdo up there trying to touch kids? But yet Candace ain't able to call 911 from her own phone at her own residence.
Well, she called Grandis's phone, remember?
I know that. But why? My thing is why? If your boys' cell service or their Wi-Fi connection was good enough to call their dad that day, why couldn't you use your own phone to call 911?
See, that's why you know these are lies. Because the children had to have been using something Wi-Fi to play video games. If they were playing video games on their phone or a tablet, they still had to have a current Wi-Fi service, which will lead one to believe if you couldn't call by your own phone, then you can't make me believe there was no other way that you couldn't have dialed 911. Because if the children were using Wi-Fi, then you should have been able to call out. Because you can use Wi-Fi calling even on a regular cell phone.
Right.
Cell phone service I have gives you options to either call directly out to whoever or Wi-Fi calling. So that means it's obviously the same. So you didn't need to use Grandis's phone because that makes no sense. But then the flip side of that is she says, well, my phone doesn't get good service. So that's why I use my mother's phone to call 911. Is that the truth? Is it she just didn't want to use her phone, period, to be in connection with law enforcement?
Yep, I think that's what it is. She just did not want to use her phone. That's just my own opinion.
Okay, that's fine.
She didn't want to use her own phone for whatever reason. She thought she was outsmarting the police or, you know.
Well, Mary, she said she left her phone down. She set her phone down. That's how he went in her phone. I don't think he lied about that.
No, I don't either. This young 15-year-old boy's story, I don't even know if you want to call it a story, but his encounter of this whole day, that would be a very elaborate story to come up with, right? I don't think he's going to waste his time if he has nothing to hide to come up with some bullshit story about a day that may or may not have taken place the way he said it was, you know?
You talking about boy H?
Yeah, boy H.
Okay.
Why would he waste his time? These young kids at this age don't want to waste no time.
Yeah. I still see him focusing on Candace.
I don't
even though he's very boisterous in his commentary, but he doesn't live in Rogersville. He doesn't live next door to her. He's not even close to her. So you're talking about a 20-plus window from Kingsport to where he lives. He's not thinking about Candace Blythe. The only way he'd be thinking about her is if indeed he liked her in that way. He had a girlfriend, which you're entitled to your opinion on whatever you think went on between he and Candace, but I don't believe his focus was Summer. I don't believe his focus was Candace Blythe. I think they went and got that boy to bait him in to be a witness of that day.
I do too. Come on. Do you think, like, people need to really think about this. Do you think that 15-year-old boy thought that woman was attractive?
But you know that doesn't really matter what you're saying now.
No, I
you know that.
I know it doesn't matter.
You can't think like that. You can't think about looks. He's a boy.
Well,
You got to remember, he's still a boy.
Oh, he's still
just
a
like
boy.
a man. A man will sleep with anything. Doesn't matter how I look at her or what I think of her.
Everybody
gets slept with somebody that was unattractive. Come on, let's be keeping it real now.
I don't think that boy paid her any mind. He paid her no attention. They baited him. They used him as an scapegoat of that day, what went on. He just thought he was going along for the ride. He didn't know that there was going to be a disappearance of a child.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I mean, do people really think that like he would want to like insert himself into a potential homicide or a kidnapping or, you know what I mean, abduction? Or I don't think so. I don't buy that anybody was up there, by no means.
Yeah, I don't think nobody's up there either, because it makes no sense that you wouldn't call the police.
And how would the kids know that there's a man up there trying to touch little kids if they weren't outside this so-called?
That's the point I'm trying to make. That nobody that I know that's on this platform has focused on that phone call between Don and Candace and Boy H as a listener. Because that's something people need to focus on. Because that ties in the story, the narrative that this is possibly a orchestrated crime to get rid of a 5-year-old. Even though it's contradictory from what was said by H and what Don said on that same phone call, but something is missing. And what's obvious is you all never went back to the house to see who was up there around your children. Why not? And then what are the odds that a child who was gone all day with the said mother is the one to go missing and not one of the boys who is eyewitnessing a stranger or known person lurking on the property? And why didn't the boys call the police? Let's go there. Why didn't they call 911? Because in order for them to know, for Don to know that there's somebody up there, that means there's another phone on the property that the children had access to. So let's go there. Why didn't the children call 911? Hey, there's a creepy guy out here. Because one of those boys is of age to know how to dial 911. So see, this is something nobody really has dwelled on. It's that conversation between Donald and Candace Bly on the 15th of June, if indeed this is an actual conversation.
And then, you know, it always takes me back to also in the very beginning, remember when they were talking about life insurance, right? And how Candace made that comment that she only had life insurance on Summer. She couldn't afford to.
Because something could happen. Yes, I do remember that. Because Dawn always knew that something would happen to her. That makes no sense.
That in itself is bizarre. Because you have 3 other kids.
Exactly.
Children's life insurance.
Boys roughhouse more than most girls. Exactly. So it seems like to me, if you're going to use that excuse, you'd have insurance on your boys before you have it on the girl.
I mean, you can get life insurance on 4 kids. I've had life insurance on my 4 boys since they were born, privately and through my employer. What I pay privately now that they've gotten older is still pennies on the dollar. It's next to nothing what I pay. So you can't tell me that she's got 4 boys under the age of 15 or 14, all of them. You can get a $5,000 or $10,000 policy for $6 to $10 a month, if that. I don't believe it. I find it very bizarre that she felt the need to only insure that baby.
Well, let's go here. Does she have life insurance on everybody in the family and or the children?
I don't think so. I think it is whatever she said it was. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't remember how that info came out. I just remember hearing it. If that is the case and that is really true, that's bizarre.
Well, let's go here. Let's imagine that she only had insurance on Summer and she got a payout. Well, she can't get a payout because the body hasn't surfaced. It'll be 7 years before the state would pay her out money. But let me tell you about that. When you're dealing with people who are uneducated, because a lot of people are uneducated and they don't do their research before knocking people off. Let's say they killed the child. And she didn't do her homework to know that she can't collect the insurance without a body. Bingo card.
Right. Yeah, it
Imagine
says
that.
You got
Imagine that.
those policies.
Well, imagine her calling the insurance company to say, well, what about the insurance on my child and she's missing? Now, naturally, red flags will go off on whoever's answering the phone, and they would have to tell this dodo bird, hey, dodo bird, we can't pay you any money because your child hasn't been missing for 7 years where she can be declared dead by the state of Tennessee. Damn. Yeah. Imagine that.
They have clauses for abductions. They have clauses for, obviously murder, suicide. All these insurances have this itty bitty fine print. Cancer clauses, heart attack, stroke.
Well, they're not paying out. They ain't paying out. They ain't paying out. I tell you that. They not paying out.
No. I don't think she's that smart. Me personally, I believe she got rid of that little girl because, according to her, I'm thinking that her life would have been easier without her. She was probably a handful.
Yeah. I think that's what it was. I think both parents realized if, let's say, both are in conjunction to discarding the child, however, they both came to an agreement. It was best to get rid of her. We're used to having boys. I prefer boys, both parties. Best to get rid of her. For whatever reason. Didn't want her. Got rid of her. And we know this happens because we have many dead children, many missing children, later found discarded. Okay? Many people don't want their kids. And I don't understand why many people can't fathom two people or one person saying to him or herself, I don't want this kid alive. I don't want this kid around. So they killed the child. Not an accident. Nobody fell downstairs. Nobody, crawled into a hot oven. Somebody didn't want them. And most of the kids you see abused, they got abused to the point of death because the person didn't like their child. Do you know how many people are out here with children they don't like? Because one, they didn't want them in the first place. See, that's where you need to put your focus. It's that many children that are abused, they are abused because their parents didn't want them anyway. So it's easy to abuse them because they didn't want them. They didn't want them. So they abuse their kid till death.
Parents, they have these kids and they think it's going to be a cakewalk. That 0 to 12 months is like the honeymoon phase to these parents because that's the easy part of a child's life. And then they get older and they realize that, children are full of energy. They're very expensive. You have to
yes, they are.
You have to be very attentive to your child. Doctors, dentists, vision doctors, be able to financially buy clothes and shoes and extra.
And bond. And the main one is bonding and bond. Because when you decide to choose one child over another to keep alive or dead, that means you didn't bond with the child that you're orchestrating the death of. You don't have a bond with that child. And it happens every day. That's why I don't understand why people in the beginning wanted to ride or die for these parents. And I told people, you don't know them. Just as easy as you telling me I shouldn't believe that they didn't kill her. Well, why would you think that they want her alive and want her? You don't know them. And children are killed every day. But children are killed every day. That's why I don't understand people's mindsets. What is it about Don and Candace? You can't see them wanting to deliberately kill a little girl when children are killed every day. They're starved every day. What do you think is going to happen if you starve your damn baby? What do you think is going to happen if you shake your baby? What do you think is going to happen? You keep punching your baby. You keep stepping on their little arms and legs. You keep pulling their little arms and legs. You keep allowing strangers to babysit and abuse your children. You keep seeing that something's wrong with their private parts. What do you think the end result will be? Death. Death. Death.
And the other thing is how do people justify this mother and father not pounding the pavement for their child? You haven't went out and looked, for your child. You haven't been online begging and pleading for the return of your child.
Yes.
We don't see that you're holding, press conferences and search events. Never, not one time.
Yeah.
How do you think that doesn't make a parent look guilty?
Let's talk about this for a minute. In this commentary with Chris McDonough, he states that she stayed inside because what? The police told her not to come outside to search. We heard that same MO with Cal City. The police told them to stay inside. Do you believe in each case the police told these people to stay inside? We got this. You don't need to help search. Hello? She's muted herself. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you all for joining me. This is commentary pertaining to Court TV's synopsis of the disappearance of Summer Wells. If you need to go back to the beginning of this video to hear the audio, feel free, or you can check out the said commentary on your own devices. It's in the YouTube queue. Thank you all so much for joining me. Kinsley, I don't know what's going on with her. If you'd like to hit the link is in the chat. If you'd like to come up on the panel with us, give your opinion pertaining to this commentary, what happened to the child. I think there needs to be more focus on the conversation with Dawn and Candace on June 15th. Actual conversation that Boy H verified that Dawn says somebody was on the property with the boys. Why did neither parent rush back to the house to see who was there? Or was this a made-up version from Donald to Candace because they were orchestrating the disappearance of the child later that day? Did both conspire to get rid of the child? Did they both willfully kill the child, discard the child? Where is she discarded if indeed she was murdered and not kidnapped by an entity person? Where is she? Is she in the state of Tennessee? Is she in the Beach Creek community? Said searches have been exacted in that area. Why that only area? You have to use common sense and deduct what is common sense. Also, data. Has data come back pertaining to the devices of all parties involved, all persons interviewed by law enforcement, TBI, FBI? What does the data tell you? Are phones pinging on that road and general area? A Beach Creek community at 3 p.m. to 6:27 p.m. What do you think the data says?
I think the data says that baby is somewhere within that vicinity. Hence the reason they haven't searched really anywhere else. I mean, if they have, I'm not saying they haven't, but if they have, I don't think that they've told us about it. Everything that they've told
They haven't told us anything.
No. Yeah, they haven't told us.
They're not going to tell us anything.
But well, I guess what I'm getting at is like the stuff that the news reports, as you know, as far as like where they have searched and like what EquiSearch has come back and told YouTube. You know, it's been within that vicinity. It doesn't seem like it's really divvied out anywhere else.
And that's what you have to ask yourself. Why are they searching back there? Why are you not searching Kingsport? The girl is all over other jurisdictions. Why are you not searching those said towns? Why are you not searching Kingsport? That's a very valid question because that is where she was allegedly.
I think that those pings off of her cell phone or whoever's cell phone,
yeah,
that they have been,
that they lingered back there after 3.
They've lingered there. Why else would they be just there? Why else?
Why else? And that's why I tell myself, you're not going to keep searching back there unless law enforcement has told them you need to search this general area here. And they should have put 2 and 2 together. We've gone back here 3-4 times since summer. There's a reason why law enforcement has us searching here. And that's what you have to ask yourself. Did law enforcement tell them to search back there, or they've taken upon themselves, the Church and Rescue Squad and whomever else, to search back there? But it still goes to common sense and deduction. Why would you continue to search in the same damn area?
It costs money. That manpower, you know, I mean, they're going to limit their financial resources. Even let's just say these are all volunteers, right? Mm-hmm. Why are they going to waste those manpower hours on that specific area
Yeah.
multiple times if there is no reason to do so.
Yeah, it makes no sense. It makes no logical sense.
None. Law enforcement has something digitally that has made all of these searches hone in there. In the very, I've teetered back and forth. Maybe she's not there. Maybe they've moved her. Maybe she's not far from the home. But then again, you go back to that. They haven't.
You'd be a fool to move her anyway.
Right.
You'd be a fool to move her because once you go forward and say she's missing, you think these people are not going to be watching and looking at you. They've gone to your house. They see how you live inside and outside. They talk to boy H. They 9 times out of 10 talk to the grandmother, Allie, about whatever was said and the day that he was at the house, she was at the house, whatever. There's no way in my right mind they were not watching that road. They were not watching that house. I refuse to believe unless they just didn't give a damn.
It's sad. It's disgusting. It's overwhelming.
It's very depressing. It's very depressing. As Polytan said, you don't want to look up and see a year later, which it is a year later, and there's nothing. And then you're going into another year. Because right now, we're in month 13. And some people in the chat have said, oh, they're not smart enough. Well, I beg to differ. You don't have her back. So you can't say that Dawn and Candace are not smart enough because she's still missing. Unless law enforcement is ringing up information to bring forth an indictment. You have to weigh it the way it is. Because TBI even said within 3 days, we usually have something to go on as far as a suspect or info on the child's disappearance. We have nothing. We have nothing. So now let's ask that question now 13 months in. Do they have something, TBI, pertaining to the disappearance of Summer Wells now? Hello, Nubian. Thank you so much.
I think that they have something, but maybe not enough to get a conviction. They may have bits and pieces or,
Jared, what are you talking about? Jared, what are you talking about? He whispered to Candace, be careful. Her mom is watching. Whose mom? Who are you talking about? Now, what'd you say, Kinsley?
Oh, I don't know. I lost my damn train of thought.
So easy to do.
It is.
So easy to do. 104 viewing. Thank you for your patronage. Hope you all have a blessed week. Hope you had a great weekend. I'm going to have me one this weekend. I think I'm going to go out of town this weekend. I have a bucket list. I have a summer bucket list. Yes, I have 3 places on my bucket list to go. I might put 4 on there. I'd like to go before cold weather, and I'm going to go on and do this and get it over with while I have the opportunity to go out of town every weekend or every other weekend because I need to get away like ASAP. What is Grandis's role?
I don't know. I think that I would hope to gosh that she didn't have a role.
Mm-hmm.
But does she? I don't know. She too.
That would be even more sickening to know an elderly woman has conspired and or has knowledge of where a child is.
Yep, exactly.
And we learn from hindsight and information in true crime that many people have information pertaining to people being violated and or dead. They just haven't told the truth. So what is more worse than covering up the death of someone, lying about where they are, lying about their death, lying about your children being involved, lying about what you know, and also lying if you also are involved in the crime?
I would hope a mother wouldn't protect their child, if
Well, people do protect their children.
Oh, they do it all day long.
So that's what I'm saying. Who's to say Grandis knows everything that happened and she's protecting her daughter?
It could, yeah, very well could be that. I would hope not, but that is a huge possibility. All of their behavior, everybody's behavior is disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
Don't matter how you chop it up.
You heard how that guy was talking about her in that interview just now. He said her shoulders were moving when she was talking about Boy H and not doing anything with him, and her eyes shifting. I stepped away briefly from that. I have to go back and look at it again. But what do you think about that? What he said about her demeanor,
he
her
said
shoulders.
her eyes opened wide up.
Yeah.
Almost like he tickles her fancy, you know?
Girl, stop. Okay, you being nasty. Damn. Please, KM, please. It's too early for this. Because that's a sick thing to think of. A woman.
It is, but she's a little
chubby 15-year-old boy.
She's a sick broad.
But that's the whole point of what I said. Don't ever underestimate a boy. He's a boy. He is still a child. He could be just as enamored with Candace Bly as a 22-year-old boy could be enamored with her. She still has a husband. She still had a husband laying and sleeping and playing house with her saggy boobs, no bra, and her hair shaved down like a boy. Stay woke. See, that's the thing everybody seems to forget. She has a husband who was still living with her and playing house with her. So if he can be enamored with this, saggy breast lady, who's to say a 15-year-old boy would not also be attracted to her? Because what's attracted to you is not attracted to me.
Well, that's true, but she ain't.
Because in the end, it doesn't matter. She's too old. And it's wrong for her to be taking up with anybody's child in a sexual manner. It's against the law to have sexual relations, sexual talk with the minor.
Of course. Of course it's against the law.
So don't tell her what the heck has been doing.
To be giving him, vapes and twisted tea. I mean,
well,
I don't know how nothing.
All of it.
I don't know how nothing came of that.
So you blame your mother, blame his mother too, because that's no telling what else he's been doing when he's not in the company. When he was not in the company of Candace, he was probably doing all kind of other things with adults. See, people don't really weigh the story for what it's worth. This stuff is not just about Summer Wells. It's about some dirty heathens that have been doing God knows what with their children and other people's children and other stinky adults. These people are just ghetto ratchet. Whether they're white, whether they're black, the race to me doesn't even matter because you have nasty beings in all different demographics, different height, weight. It's all the same to me. They're nasty, and that's it. And it didn't matter if it was Tennessee, if it was Arizona, if it was Wisconsin. It's all the damn same. Gross. You're just gross. You like to get turned up, drunk, use drugs, keep making babies. You're just pushing them out, like they're little toys. Push out a little plastic toy, play with it for a while, put it on the shelf, push another toy out. That's how they're viewing children, baby making syndrome.
Yeah, it's
no regard for life.
Foul.
Somebody said yesterday, I was listening to something on TV, and the woman said, they're just alive, but they're not living. And
exactly.
I said, perfect, because I know somebody like that now. They are breathing free oxygen, but they are not living. And there is a difference. Because people will argue that when you're upset or you're depressed about something, you're down, you'll have somebody say, well, you're alive, aren't you? You're alive, but there's more to life than just being alive. You could be alive, but you don't have nothing going on. You ain't got nothing going on, either by choice or things just haven't gone your way in your favor. But there's more to life than just breathing. You want to be a part of the world. You should want to. But you have people who are breathing, but that's all they're doing. They're not trying to do anything. They don't have any goals. They don't have any empathy. They don't care about other people. They don't care about what's going on in the world. They don't care about their friends. They don't care about their family. They're sociopaths. They're just walking around, sucking up free oxygen that somebody else should be using and just out here lollygagging around, which it is their choice. But in the end, they end up affecting other innocent people with their BS. And that's what's going on with Candace Bly, Donald Wells, Allie Grandis. To me, they're leeches. Because when you get into their peripheral, they're going to suck the energy out of you. And people don't really understand people like this. But I know people like this. They're energy suckers. Every day it's a problem with them. Every day it's a scenario. It's a story. It's a version. Just imagine what it was like when the girl was around. You could see her, hear her. These people still were dramatic. Always got something going on. And people like that, they will suck the life out of you. Because every day they're going to call you with some version of Pookie did this, Bubba said this, and I need money for my light bill. Oh, I'm behind on my car note. Oh, I need this. It's always something. Oh, he got arrested. Oh, I just got out of jail. Oh, I just got pulled over. Oh, I owe child support. Oh, I'm behind in arrears. Oh, they had an old warrant for me. You think I haven't heard this bullshit the past couple months? Man, it'll make your head spin. Same BS, and it's daunting. I don't want to hear it. I tell people, man, don't carry that bone to me. I ain't interested. I don't live in the street. I don't hang in the street, and I don't want to hear street ass problems. And you can get sucked into that type of mess because you friends with the people, family, or you like them, you have feelings for them. I'm telling you, they're bloodsuckers. They will suck everything out of you till you have nothing left to give yourself. People like that, I'm telling you, better remove them. Better remove them. Excuse me for that venting, but I'm just telling the truth. These people will suck you dry. Well, Dolly, the Lord is the only one that can work with them. Man can't do anything with them. So, as I told you all in that live yesterday, certain people need the Lord's help. Because man and woman can't do anything with them. So they have to decide to change their life and take it to the Lord. Because they can't take it to a man. They can't take it to a counselor. They got to take it to him only. Because there's just no rhyme or reason with their behavior. They're just lost souls. Exactly. If you want the help. There's always help, but you have to want it. And that's why I'm making this commentary, is that there are many people like the Wells and Allie and all of them. They're accustomed to drama. They like the drama. They feed off the drama. They wake up on drama. And this is all they know because they've been living a certain way for so long that they choose not to know a better way of living. They don't know how to appreciate the small things. They're used to CPS, DHS, the police calling her house and people calling the police on them, falling out with their friends, neighbors, new people, old people. This is all they know. I refuse to engage. I'm telling you, I've had my share of drama the past couple months, and I'm telling you, I don't want no parts of nothing. Don't come here. Don't call. Don't even look my way, because it's daunting to always hear the same damn thing every time a person calls. There's never any good news. It's always something negative. And they don't care. You're just a shoulder to lean on all of 5 seconds. And you're crazy for listening. I tell anybody, don't engage. Just don't. Yes, toxic. Indeed. Thank you all for tuning in. If you'd like to donate to the channel, The Dream of Everyday Shenanigans, $ McGandy, 129 Cash App. Stickers are welcome. Super chats are welcome. Thank you all so much. Anything else you'd like to bring in this commentary, Miss Kinsley?
No, I just think that, I pray every day that this woman just turns over her baby or her baby's remains.
Yeah.
Because this shit show has went on far too long.
Lord have mercy.
She needs to be laid to rest.
She's never going to tell the truth. She's free now, and she's free of a husband. No. She probably likes her freedom now, because you're talking about months in without a husband, without somebody in her ear, she doesn't have to bicker, argue. She's free to roam, and she probably likes her freedom now. without her husband and her children?
Of course.
Let's go there. Do you think she likes her freedom?
Of course. She has no
Tell me why.
responsibilities.
Tell me why.
Look, you don't have to worry, not that she did, but you don't have to worry about feeding your children. You don't have to worry about washing them, worrying about CPS being called on them because they've already been taken. You can run amok all over Tennessee or wherever it is she's at. She has no responsibility.
Yeah.
Nothing. She has nothing left that is tying her there. And if she truly wanted to leave Dawn, like she said in a couple of people's, channels and on their panels, well, she got her chance. This is it. He's gone.
Yeah, he's gone now. But why not have left earlier? You've had ample enough time to leave.
I think it.
I wish, Mary. No husband here, honey. Got to get a date first before you get to the husband. Yeah, but she's had ample enough time to leave him. She's had ample enough time to try to get her life together. And I'm telling you, I could speak from personal experience of knowing somebody. When are you going to grow up? They're the same age, I believe, she and this person. Man, when are you going to get it together? When are you going to get it together?
There's just some people that never get it together because they're not hungry enough to live a fulfilled life. They're pacified with having next to nothing or minimal means to things.
Yeah, I don't understand that type of life. I don't understand how you could be one day surviving or half-ass surviving, and then you just go rock bottom. You start not to care about yourself, your appearance. You're getting in trouble with the law. You're going from relationship to relationship and, bed to bed, sofa to sofa. I just don't understand the mindset of that, especially for people who are over the age of 30, 35, 40. When are you going to get it together? When are you going to grow up? When are you going to take up responsibility for your life, your children's lives? When are you going to start doing right by people? When are you going to stop manipulating and using people and crying wolf to people and expecting people to come to your aid because you refuse to grow the F up? I don't understand it. And that's a live I'd like to do too. I'd like to go real deep into some conversation. I may start a private group.
Some people, it starts possibly with the way she was raised.
I believe that because this one person I know, a lot of their trauma comes from childhood. But as I've told the person, you cannot keep blaming everything on what went wrong as a child. You're not a child anymore. That is old. It's over with.
When people say, I didn't have a good life and that's all I've ever known. My thing is at a point in all of our lives, right? We all turn 18.
Yeah.
We all become our own independent person.
Yeah.
At the age of 18, you have the choice to become hungry for life, hungry for fulfillment in life, regardless if it's a college education or not, whether it's to be a homeowner or not, whether it's to have a decent job or not. At 18, we all have the means to choose.
Yes.
It just depends on how hungry are you.
Right. And that's the problem. Many of these people going into 18 weren't taught anything. So they've got to now program their mind to be thirsty. And some don't ever get it. Sadly, they just don't get it. And that's the thing. It's not my job to coddle you and baby you to be thirsty, to be empathetic. That's not my job. And I have come to the decision, as I've always have, I will cut you off because you ain't thirsty enough, or you are problematic, or you are toxic. I don't need it and I don't want it because I'm not trying to bring it to you. So don't bring it to me.
Yep.
And I'm not in the babysitting business because I'm not getting paid. And that's what these vultures out here don't understand. You're not paying us anything to put up with your BS. And I don't owe you any damn thing.
Nope. You gotta want it, and you gotta have to.
Yeah, you have to want more for yourself.
Have the hunger to go and
and go and get it. Yes, yes. You know, like I said, we all fall short. Some of us get lazy about doing certain things. But when, like I said, when you're choosing a life of just ho hum and no empathy, and you're staying in trouble with the law, and your ass is 40 years old, I got a problem with you. And I'm no longer going to just sit up and just say, well, you know, this happened when they were 12 and they ain't had no mama, daddy, and they don't know their parents. And, oh, Susie broke their heart. And so what? So what? Everybody has some trauma. But you can't use that as an excuse to go out here and hurt people. You can't go out here and use that as an excuse to abuse your children, neglect your children.
You gotta want change in your life. You know, it's some people are just complicit and they're okay with having nothing. Okay.
And you are so true in what you're saying, because I am looking at someone right now and saying to myself, my God, when are you going to want something for yourself? When are you going to decide that you are important? You are valuable. When are you going to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I deserve more than what I've been putting out into the universe. I deserve more than what was given to me by others. And I'm going to make an amends with myself and those that I've done wrong and try to change my life. Instead of using people as a crutch, you know, to weigh them down with my BS, I'm going to want more.
You need people these days need to know what their self-worth is.
Yeah, but people don't.
A lot of people don't know how to love themselves.
They don't.
They're not taught to love themselves.
That's true.
I don't have no girls, but please believe that my boys know that what self-love is. You know, you got to love yourself.
Yeah.
You got to be hungry for yourself.
First.
Always, first and foremost.
Yeah, because you are first. Before you ever laid down with another human and had sex, made a baby, got married, you were number one. And that is what's wrong with many people right now. They were never number one. And they picked idle friendships, courtships with people, never being genuine with them, or the people were never genuine with them, vice versa. So they go out here and they just become manipulators, grand manipulators from, you know, jacked up childhoods and interactions with family. And then they go out here and traumatize other people because trauma was brought to them. But you can't go out here hurting people deliberately because somebody didn't treat you right. How's that fair to me or you, for you to, you know, mistreat me because your mama didn't want you or your daddy didn't want you or some heifer broke your heart. So now you want to go out here and break other women's hearts because of some dizzy broad you got hooked up with. You know, I really could just go deep if I want to.
You know, it's like, you know, so for instance, my niece, she just turned 16 in January and just found out she was pregnant, right?
Mm-hmm.
You look at the inside or the outside of my sister and her husband's life. Beautiful life, beautiful home, great jobs, beautiful cars, money in the bank. But where did it all go wrong, right? You have one son that is fighting a first-degree murder charge.
Mm-hmm.
You have a 16-year-old child that is now pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
She calls me the other day, you know, my sister, meaning my mother, screaming and yelling because they don't know what they're going to do. And, you know, now my niece is, you know, up in arms and suicidal because of all these mean and horrific things, you know, my own mother and my sister have said to her, you know. And I call my niece and I tell her, you know, she's crying and she doesn't know what to do. And she, you know, she's confused. Well, number one, out here where I live, you can't have an abortion. And she would have to travel to have that done.
Mm-hmm.
And we already had this conversation, so I'm sure you know kind of like where I stand. And I told her, well, you're gonna come and you're going to live with me, right? She only lives 30 minutes from me. You're gonna come, you're gonna live with me, and you're gonna go to school with my boy that's left in high school. And I am going to teach you what it is to love yourself so that you can love your baby and your baby can grow up and know his or her self-worth. And you know, it's so sad because she tells me after I tell her that, she's like, you know, I have all these beautiful things in my life. You know, young 16-year-old girl, nice clothes and this and that, you know, all this materialistic shit.
Mm-hmm.
But she says, nobody's ever told me what I should have done, like how to love myself.
Now, who said this? Your sister?
My niece.
Your niece. See, this is what I'm questioning about all that you've mentioned in this. There's always this possibility that children had a great life, but they became wayward somewhere down the line in childhood up until 18. Then you could have the parents who are not great parents, but people think they're great parents, and the children suffer. So outside looking in, many people are going to wonder if there's something going on between your sister and her husband. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
Because somebody's going to question, why is this 16-year-old pregnant? Did they not talk to her about birth control and being out here having sex? 2, did they ever talk to their son about breaking the law and getting in trouble and the ramifications of getting involved with the wrong company and or making bad choices on his own?
Yeah, I mean, I've had the conversation with my sister. My husband and I have had the conversation. You know, you have to be open and transparent with your children. And I like to believe that my children, knock on wood still, that my children haven't chose, you know, that path.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my boys have seen what my husband does for a living, right?
Yeah,
my husband is in the law enforcement field.
Okay.
So they have seen it all. They have heard it all. You know, the crazy stories of things that can happen, pictures of things that have happened. It's all about how you talk and teach your kids at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you think your sister and husband have failed their children, and that's why they're taking the path?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you own that. So you own that. Okay.
Oh, hell yes. And I have told her that. You know, I just had the conversation with her the other day. You know, just because you drive a $70,000 car doesn't mean nothing.
Yes. And I think that's why people get confused about that, is that you're looking at the outside. You're looking at pretty hair, pretty clothes, pretty nails, well manicured house, lawn, nice home, nice car. But that has nothing to do with what goes on inside of the person's heart, their spirit, their disposition, and what the fuck they're doing behind closed doors. And we've learned that from true crime, that all is not what it appears. And I think the worst situation, a case that shows you that nobody really had an idea of how sinister a motherfucker was. That's Chris Watts and Cheyenne Watts.
Oh, yeah.
They are the perfect example of you had no idea how bad it was and going to get.
Yep, exactly.
Because you don't know people. And that's the thing people don't understand, because it's easy to brag about people. I've had many people brag about others. Oh, he's this, she's that. He would never do this. She would never do that. No, she didn't steal that money from the cookie fund. No, he didn't rape that little girl. No, he didn't molest nobody. How do you know? Because you don't know the mind of a human being. You don't know people.
We never know what they're capable of.
That's right, because we all have had ill thoughts about people. We've all had thoughts of harming people, hurting people, seeking revenge on people. So you can't say what another human being would not do to another human being.
Because people do some crazy shit all day long.
Yes,
to
and many people,
wives, children,
yes,
and neighbors.
Yes, and many people have said, I never thought I'd hurt her or kill him. Or that was never my intention when I dated her, dated him, married him, had a child. I don't believe a person wakes up and has a baby and decides that during childbirth, they want to run their baby over in the driveway or drown their baby in a bathtub. Do you see what I'm saying? Who?
Oh yeah, because if you
willingly got pregnant to kill my baby.
People been doing this kind of crap for forever.
Of course they have. That's the point. Murder has been around since the Bible.
Drowned her babies.
You know, a man killed his own brother in the Bible. So that should tell you something. A brother killed his own brother. So therefore, why are you shocked? 2022, people are still killing their own brother and sister. People are plotting the deaths of their family members to get insurance money, arguing and bickering over money, a shoe, a hat. It's the spirit. We become greedy. And greed is what leads to most murders. Coveting, stealing, robbing. Greed. Selfishness. Selfish. Why people are hurt, manipulated, used because somebody's selfish. Self-gain. Monetary. And it's going to be temporary. So a lot of people don't understand about coveting and stealing, robbing, forging documents. It will possibly be temporary. Your gain. And they don't think about the person's feelings. They don't think about going to jail. I'll worry about that later. Hey, honey, how you doing? And that's what this story is about. I do believe somebody got tired of having a girl child, and they got rid of her for whatever reason. I don't think there was an accident, because I think it would be just easier to just told the police the truth if she fell herself, or one of the kids did something to her accidentally, or the parent spanked her too hard or something, whatever. I just, in my spirit, she was deliberately harmed and discarded. That's my feeling. Dolly says Candace knew and Don was going down that day. They left the boys home. Okay.
Yeah, to me that was always strange. Like, why leave your kids home? Because remember in the beginning, didn't she mention something about going to a water park?
Yeah, that's in another town.
Yeah, why would you leave your boys home and not take everybody?
That's in I think that's in Jonesboro or somewhere else. So that sounds strange too. Because there's something about the outfit I thought was in correlation to that water park. But that makes no sense, because Grandis is describing that issue with the car and the pillow and the wetness of children in swim trunks. Why would I be dressing my child in winter clothes to go to a water park? See
yeah, those clothes are still alarming to me.
Yeah, the pants and the pull-up lightweight jacket. Why would I put that on her if indeed that was what she was supposed to wear later? Because it makes no sense. Those clothes are for a cool day. So
yeah,
when was she going to wear pants?
Bizarre.
It's still summer, so why would you be wearing pants to the schoolhouse in summer, late summer? Let's say school started in August. It's still warm outside here in Tennessee. So you have no need to be putting a girl in pants, period. This is before you even put her in that outfit allegedly because she was cold. Why would you be buying pants? If I bought the pants, she wouldn't be wearing them now.
Last night, I heard something interesting, and it was on another creator's channel. They had a live panel. Do you remember in the beginning, during that conversation H had with Chris, where he states that she changed Summer at his house?
Yeah, I remember that.
And that his mom was asleep. He had to go in and ask his mom if he could go or whatever. Yeah. Well, during this live panel, somebody, the host, asks Allie, was this little girl changed at your house, or was she already in swimwear? And she says, oh no, she was already dressed. Well, how would you know she's already dressed if you were asleep and you never got up?
See, that's what I'm saying. It's too many inconsistencies. So let's go there. Was Allie awake when they stopped by to change the little girl's clothes? Or did he go out that door without asking her, could he go?
Well, him, Boy H, and I think his mom in the beginning during that interview with him, his mom and Chris, I could have swore she said somewhere in that interview that he came in and asked her or woke her up or
Yeah.
something like that. So why would she turn around and tell a totally different version and state that this little girl was in her clothes after it came out of her own mouth that she was asleep? Like, it's like, lady, you're just making yourself out to be a worse liar now.
Dolly says, I don't think he asked her. Could be.
It really could be.
He's pretty grown. He talks a lot because he's hung around grown people most of his life. That's why Boy H talked the way he talked in that Chris Madonna interview. He's been around grown people too much. So who could say he was rearing himself? That's the reason why we don't really know what the hell happened when she got there with the little girl, how she was dressed, not dressed, because that's all we got is the version of these people. So you got two conflicting versions or three different versions of if the child was dressed in swim trunks or he got her dressed. My thing is, why would you need to get her dressed to go to Boy H's house? If you knew you were going to go to the swim hole, you would already had her in a bathing suit in the car.
Yeah, true.
You could have had her swim trunks and everything under regular clothes if indeed it was cool that morning. But I got a funky feeling it probably was not that cool June 15th.
Hell no, it was summertime. And that's kind of like where it brings me back into my own thoughts. Like, was that picture really even of that day? Like, I'm talking to myself.
I don't know. Mary's asking a lot of questions about pillows and wet seats and who was not wet. Oh, Lord. I don't know, Mary. All right, Jared. See, you don't know what's what because it goes back to what we've always said. Everybody's got a version, and it's a matter of whose version is the truth.
The truth never changes, right?
That's right.
The truth never changes.
T, you're probably right. Everybody adjusted their stories according to the gossip.
Yep. He's right. They did it to fit their own damn narrative.
But
period.
Let's go there. If indeed I got up that morning knowing I wanted to go swim with the little girl and invite Boy H, I would have, one, had my child already dressed in swimwear. Two, I would have already had towels in the car for the front seat and the back seat and my seat. Stay woke.
Yeah, it just makes it easier, if you're already dressed.
Yes. Because if a child says, Mommy, I want to go swimming today or tomorrow, why am I going to have them fully dressed in clothes knowing that I'm supposed to be taking him or her swimming? They will have on their swim outfit, the towel already wrapped around their neck, and then they get out of the car already dressed for swimming. That's common sense. You don't go to the swim hole or swim pool in a three-piece suit.
A tracksuit, a winter suit.
Any of it. You're going in your swimwear.
It's weird. The whole thing is
all weird. I know. But see, this is why I always tell people that when you listen to a story pertaining to a disappearance or death, when it doesn't make any sense, when nothing adds up, when you can't get a receipt to anything, that should show you that 9 times out of 10 that it was orchestrated. Because when you can't put the pieces together, but yet everybody's a walkie-talkie of what happened on that day, allegedly, that should tell you the obvious. Oh, there's some smoke here. I smell smoke. I see smoke. So therefore, there's a fire. How could you not see that? So bragging on random strangers you don't know a damn thing about. They're all walkie-talkie telling what happened on June 15th, yet there ain't a receipt to nothing, should tell you something macabre happened on June 15th to Summer Wells. That should be obvious.
I think that, law enforcement is probably been holding out so they can find some sort of.
I think they have. They have
remains.
Because this is what happened with Cal City. You now find out these MFs knew all the time the damn boys were dead which is so atrocious to me. So atrocious to me. So why would I not think that's the same thing going on with Summer Wells? They got a damn good idea of what then went down. They just ain't said nothing.
Yeah, they know she's gone. They're hoping for, either bones, article of clothing. They're looking for any little piece to solve that conviction, period. They can go to the grand jury. The grand jury is either going to say yay or nay. No, you ain't got enough to get a conviction, or yes, you do. Clearly, there's not enough.
Let's go there too. That's something we've never discussed, and I haven't heard it mentioned in anyone's commentary either. We already know that if indeed she's dead and she's discarded wherever, there's going to be remnants left, such as bone. But the one thing none of us have ever mentioned, bingo card, her clothes. That would not be dissolved.
No.
Shoes, underwear, swimwear, and whatever she wore that day to her discardment. So let's go there. Let's scratch bones, jaw, teeth, all that. What if indeed her clothes are somewhere out here lying around, they just haven't been discovered, along with her remains? Because to me, the clothes would be even better than just saying bones, hair, all that, because we need that just for the DNA and the to say this is indeed her, and test, genetics of her brother, sister, other brothers, parents. So let's say we find her clothes. Wouldn't that be interesting? If we found her clothes were found. Clothes or shoes.
Something, yeah. Who's to say they don't have a piece of
and
that
I thought about that, and I'm thinking about that as I'm speaking. What if they do have remnants of clothes, but not bones?
Right. I think they're holding out because they want that big conviction. They don't want this, let's just.
How do you know she was barefoot? Who's to say she was barefoot? I'm not believing anything that came out of the mouth of Candace Bly.
No, none of us.
Two versions. She was inside and then outside, then wandering. So what I'm supposed to believe? She was in the basement barefoot. She was outside barefoot, and she was wandering barefoot. I don't believe none of it.
No, they could have a piece of clothing. They could, and now they're waiting to find some, DNA evidence so that they can really get more than one, charge. I think they want those big charges and they want them to stick. They don't want no hypothetical anything. Possibly, maybe they want it to where they got so much evidence they're going to lock them in a corner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, my thing is, take her and him down on whatever the hell you got, and we worry about the rest later.
That's what
I don't want them free. I don't want them free another damn day.
No, that's why I had the hard time justifying the fact that they didn't take her in on giving H, liquor and
I know what you're saying.
To a minor.
Well, if she did, she's been doing it.
Oh, yeah.
And he's probably not the only child that's had access to alcohol and smoking products by Candace or by their own parents and Allie. That's why I said these children were living a wayward life with their own mother in Kingsport. So you can't be shocked that they would go hang out with Candace, who's also wayward. Her husband's wayward. You can't be shocked by any of it because all you have to do is look at what's obvious. The man is taking you to the house to show you how they were living. Then you got this kid smoking and drinking with her that's not even her own damn child. They all are participants in having wayward children because they're wayward. So then you have to ask yourself what the hell her own 3 boys were doing. If you're giving a 15-year-old alcohol and smoking products, you're doing the same with your own damn children.
Well, in that recent commentary that JS put out, how her significant other had given products to Candace and Dawn's oldest boy.
Yeah.
Bitch, you mean to tell me you're okay with that?
Well, if you've been doing it, yeah, you're okay with it.
Yeah, that's just like me coming out of my own mouth, being a decent human being, and I like to believe that I'm a good mother. What the hell's wrong with you, woman? you're okay that this man has been doing this to these children, and you've been holding all this back supposedly for 13 or 14 months? Girl, you need to be locked the hell
That's
up
why I
in
said
the
they're all complicit to me, because when you look at how Don and Candace live with their children, you look at all the trouble that man's been into since being with her and recently with the DUI charges. You look at how Allie's living over there with her mama, don't even have her own damn place with her children under the age of 18. She should have her own car, her own job, her own place to live. The fact that her daughter was running away and hanging over at Candace's house, and the mama didn't know where she was and posting all that BS to social media. The fact that Boy H's had been getting in trouble with the law and then wrapped himself in this mess with Candace. Nobody was taking care of their children. That's the gist of the story. Nobody was taking care of their own damn kids. So you couldn't expect them to do right by somebody else's children. I don't give a damn about somebody sitting in front of a camera talking to a YouTuber about how much they care about this, this, this. You were not setting an example. Now, it's not to say that you can't be doing your best to raise your children and your children become wayward. Of course, anything is possible because they have a mind of their own. But if I'm looking at you and I see that you don't even care about putting on decent clothes during a damn interview, you're sitting there with your big ass and a wife beater with stains on it, you and Candace both looking nasty in your interviews with the news and Chris Madonna, I know you don't care anything about your children. I know you don't keep a clean house because I'm looking at your appearance. And your appearance tells me everything, that you don't care about self. So if you don't care about self, you don't care about your damn kids. Point blank. I have no way I'm going to be 120 pounds or 350, 500 pounds and sit in front of a grown man with my belly hanging out and stains on my clothes. Not never. And I'm not going to sit in front of a news camera in a nasty ass wife beater, half dressed, doped up, talking about my child missing. What message am I sending to the general public about my child missing, or my child was involved in a possible disappearance of another child, and I'm sitting up here looking funky and nasty during a damn interview? You weren't going to talk about me like no damn dog. Well, Mary, you have to want the plus size clothes to put on. So that's why I'm trying to explain to people. This is how they look every day. So if you're willing to go in front of a camera looking grimy, you're telling me that's how you dress Monday through Sunday. That's the point. You don't care about yourself. So once again, you're sending the message, you don't care about your children. You don't care about your house. You're walking outside looking any kind of damn way because that's how you live. So why would I think your children are going to be dressed to the nines and you're sitting up here in a damn wife beater that, if you go back on her Facebook post, Candace, she wears that damn blue wife beater. She wore it quite a bit. You're cutting the grass in that nasty thing, and then you're sitting over here in an interview months later in the same nasty looking blue wife beater. You mean to tell me? And I know they got them at Walmart because I bought a few of them in every damn color last year. Gray, purple, navy blue, black, green, hunter green, or not honey green, but money green, whatever. Every color of them wife beaters. From size small to 3X. So, I'm going to ask again. Why are you wearing this damn blue, navy blue, royal blue, whatever it was, wife beater? Every damn picture. Facebook post. You mean to tell me you can't afford a $3-4 wife beater from Walmart? It's BS. It's just BS, man.
Yeah, they don't have self-worth. They could care less.
And it's no telling what was wrong with those children mentally and physically. Because if you're walking around, you don't care about your appearance, you're not taking your children to the doctor either. So who the hell knows what was going on with those kids? What type of damn problems they were having between their private parts or anywhere else.
Tracy says she probably didn't even have on a bra underneath that jean jacket. I don't even know if she owns a bra.
Yeah, she probably don't own a bra because bras cost. And the bigger your boom booms, the more the bras cost. Everybody knows that.
And she would wear those shoes, her husband's slides that were like size 15.
I'm sick of plastic shoes. I didn't like the Crocs, and I don't care for those plastic slide-ins by everybody's baby mama, Adidas and Nike and all, whoever makes them. They're just as worse as Crocs. That's just an easy way to say, I don't want to wear a shoe and I don't want to pay for a damn pair of decent shoes.
Shit, I like to go to Ross and TJ Maxx and all those places and get me those cute bling bling sandals, you know, just like the cute little girls, like women's sandals.
Well,
like, I'm not about the rubber life either. I don't want none of that. I don't wear it.
When they stopped wearing the Crocs, I could have threw a party. I mean, there's still people still wearing them on ugly Crocs, those Crocs. I just don't like them because people just got beside themselves in Tennessee. They're wearing them like regular shoes in the winter. And, you know, damn well it gets cold here too. And you're wearing them damn shoes and it's 10 degrees outside. You know, damn well your feet are cold. Especially if you ain't wearing no socks with them. So now the slides are taking over where the Crocs left off.
Yep. And they got the Birkenstocks with the socks now. Everywhere I go, I was school shopping yesterday, and I seen grown women, grown men. Everybody had on the Crocs.
Well, Mary, Kinsley don't think that they were poor. She feels like they look poor, act poor. But Don had income to where they all could have been looking and dressing a whole lot better, and their property could have been kept up, especially due to the fact that, one, he has a skill working on houses, and he knows how to cut grass, and he knew not to accumulate all them school buses and cars and trucks. I don't know what was the purpose of accumulating all that, because to me, why would you hoard your property up if there's no benefit to the stuff on the property? You're not getting any money from that stuff, so why in the hell is it on there?
You know, he did not need a car note for $600. You know, they're the ones that put that out into the atmosphere. So therefore, we're all going to say, if you can afford a $600 and what odd dollar car note,
right,
then you could go to your local Goodwill, Savers, Kmart, Walmart, and get your children some decent clothing.
But you have to want that. You have to want to spend money on
that's
your
what
children.
They did not want none of
No,
that.
they didn't want that.
They chose not to provide for their children.
That's what I'm saying. They didn't care about their kids because they don't care about themselves. They don't care about themselves. So why would you think that they would care about their children?
You know, we don't even know if these kids ever took baths or showers on the daily. You know, I think somebody said in one of these interviews, maybe it was Allie or whomever, they lived off of frozen pizza.
Yeah. Stomachs all messed up.
That is just horrific.
Because we're grown and know that you can't eat pieces and stuff every damn day.
No, man, these kids deserved more than that.
They need vegetables. They need milk. They need vitamin C. They need to be eating vegetables so they can have energy, so their iron wouldn't be low. All the things that go bump in the night as an adult. You need iron. You need energy.
I feel sorry for whoever marries my kids, because my boys have had a vegetable with their dinner at every meal. I just always make, you know, the main course and two sides. And one of them is always a vegetable.
Yeah. Well, you need vegetables. Some people weren't raised on them, though. But as you get older, you realize, hey, I might need to try vegetable out. And I became an adult and started eating vegetables that I had never eaten as a child, because that's the point. You only eat what your parents served you. So as you become older, you could try different things that you've never had before. And a lot of people still eat the way they were raised.
To cook them.
So I like vegetables that I never had. I never had asparagus growing up. I never had cauliflower growing up. I don't even remember eating broccoli as a child. All those things I ate as an adult because nobody served me those vegetables. I may have had like corn, growing up as a child, but I don't remember ever eating broccoli, cauliflower, asparagus. I chose to eat that as an adult, and I haven't had any problems with liking them. And as they say, to each his own. But that is why a lot of us are the way we are, is because of the things we were taught as children. You have to come into your own self and say, well, they didn't introduce me to these things. Well, let me try them out and see if I like them. All you have to do is try it. If you don't like it, then you just don't like it. But you can't never say, I don't like that if you've never eaten it.
And nowadays there's just so many ways that you can cook all this stuff. Back then, our parents cooked just, they weren't into all of these different ways and different seasonings. And it was plain, salt, pepper, maybe some garlic or onion. And
exactly,
was like it.
All of that. But that's the thing. If you weren't introduced to those things, you're not going to know about those things. It's all of it's the same. The way you live, the way you grow up, your dress code, all that. You don't know anything until you get out on your own and say, well, I'm going to try this because I never, got dressed up, or my parents didn't dress up, or, we never bought, extra, hygiene products. Well, I'm grown now. Let me try these different things. There's nothing wrong with trying out something that you weren't accustomed to. Change is good. You don't grow if you don't change.
No, you have to change it. You have to change. I mean, you grow into and flourish with change.
What's it, Mary? Mary's so silly. Yes, salad is good. Amen.
Well, now I'm getting hungry. My stomach.
I need to eat too. I'm going to cut this live because I have not had any type of lunch and it's late. But I want to come back and do my video after this, after I do lunch, pertaining to sexual orientation and transgender people, children changing. There's a law that's been passed, I believe, in Florida or somewhere. I got to go in my database and pull it up, pertaining to aiding medical, let me word this correctly. A state has decided to not aid any medical funds for children to change their sex as children. Is this right or wrong? I will be bringing you commentary of a child who had a sex change and has regretted changing their sex. I will also play audio from, I think, 2 people via the YouTube queue who have undergone a sex change. They were boys at one time and metamorphosed into what is deemed a female. And I will play that commentary because most of you have heard what has happened with Roe versus Wade. So what I wanted to touch on, what will be the next subject matter to go before the Supreme Court to be demolished as well. So what I brought up in the conversation a few weeks ago, is it possible that same-sex adoption will be on the chopping block alongside allowing persons to undergo reassignment surgery? Should that also be deemed illegal? Changing your sex, be you a child or an adult? That's the next subject matter for this afternoon. Thank you so much for joining me. And thank you, Kinsley Masters, for joining me. I'll see you in a little bit.
Absolutely. You guys have a good day.
Okay, babe. I'll see you in a little bit. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
All right. That's my mod, KM. I have my other mod in here, TZ. I'll be back here shortly with another commentary pertaining to sexual reassignment. Should it be legal or illegal to allow a person to change his or her sex, either being a child or an adult? Thank you all so much. I will drop the link. Nobody wanted to come up here on this live for some weird reason. So we will see if somebody wants to give their commentary pertaining to the next subject matter. Bear with me a little while I take a brief break. And that will be the next subject. It was a subject that I've been meaning to bring for probably about 2 months now. So this is my series on transgender and homosexuality. I'm going to go ahead and get this subject out of the way. I will also be bringing you a movie of the week today. So please check my community board for the said movie of the week. Last week's movie was Chained, a very diabolical story of a serial killer hunting women by via taxi cab. He was a taxi cab driver, and he would put the women in his car, offer them a ride as a cab driver. Of course, the women thinking they've called a cab service, but indeed it was a cab service / serial killer. And he keeps one of the women's child as his own personal slave. And you were watching this commentary, the interaction between the child and his now captor, the serial killer. Chain is last week's choice, movie choice. And I will put another one up on the board today. Thank you all so much for joining me. And once again, all channel donations to Big Angie 129 via Cash App. God bless all of you. Stay safe. Prayers for Summer Wells and her brothers. Prayers for a verdict in the Cal City murder trial, which is coming up this month on July 25th. Please put that on your calendar. I do not know if that will be aired on a local TV or streamed by a entity such as Court TV or Law and Crime Network. But when I get the said information, I will post it to my community board or mention it during a live. Thank you all so much for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans.